A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
In just a moment, Autolite presents Suspense with Edmund O'Brien and Ann Blythe.
Say, Harlow.
Hello, Hap. Let me see now. Autolite electrical parts are original factory parts. When your car's electrical system needs attention placed safe, get Autolite original factory parts, the choice of car manufacturers.
Harlow.
Gosh, I wish I could get a super simple slogan to sell all owners of Autolite-equipped cars on how important it is to replace worn parts on their generator, starting motor, or distributor, or for that matter, their complete coil and voltage regulator with Autolite original factory parts.
Mm-hmm.
You see, Hap, me hearty, here's the point. Whenever your car needs attention, whenever you need replacement parts, the smartest, safest thing you can do is drive down to your nearest Autolite service station or the dealer who sells your make of car and ask for Autolite original parts and service.
Well, naturally, Harlow. Let's hear some more about it later. Here's Suspense. Suspense. Autolite and its 60,000 dealers and service stations bring you radio's outstanding theater of thrills. Starting tonight, Mr. Edmund O'Brien and Miss Ann Blythe in Anton Leader's production of Muddy Tracks, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
They say to me, don't be bitter, Harry. Well, I'm not bitter. They say, forget it, Harry. That I can't do. I'll never be able to forget it. Or her. How did it happen? Well, like practically every important thing that ever happens to anybody, it just happened. I was in the bar, see?
Got a match? I said got a match.
Who, me?
What's the matter? Girl shy or just match shy?
I thought you were talking to the bartender. Here you are.
Well, glad we got that straightened out. What are you drinking?
Coke?
At this hour.
Clear me up on something, Angel Face. Are we trying to get acquainted with each other?
You're cute.
I'm broke, flat, busted. Go pick yourself another target.
Have a drink on me.
I only take a round when I can buy one back.
I'm not trading. I'm buying.
You could have fooled me.
I repeat, you're cute. Eddie, give my friend a bourbon. What's the matter? Been playing the nags?
Oh, you read minds, too, huh?
Simple. Tracks open. That's a good suit you got on, and you've been nursing that coke for 20 minutes. Besides, your racing form's showing.
Oh, that's pretty good. How's my future look?
Depends. What do you do for a living?
I'm glad you waited for me, Brandy.
Augie.
I like you to wait for me. When you don't wait, it makes me unhappy.
Now, there was a guy I wouldn't want to see unhappy. He was friendly, all right, but he was overdoing it. Everything about him was too set, too sharp. Clothes, manicure, even his eyes, like two blue marbles.
But, Augie, you said you wouldn't be here till 10.
So? Who's this guy?
The name's Clark, Harry Clark.
Brandy, go powder your nose.
Okay, Augie, you don't have to get in an uproar. Always getting sore.
What were you talking to Brandy about?
No kidding. Is that her name?
What were you talking about?
Believe it or not, a job.
Oh, so you're looking for a job. Where you from?
Out of town.
Tell me. You particular what you do?
Why, what's the job?
Answering the phone.
That can't pay much.
5% of the take?
What take?
I'm Augie Persian. I run the books in this town, and I've got a new setup. For you, if you want it.
Ah, a bookie, huh? It's a new one for me. Well, I don't know it. Say, why would you want to give me a job?
You want the job, or don't you?
Well, since you put it that way, Persian, we're in business.
Eddie, a couple more drinks. What are you drinking? Bourbon?
On second thought, I think I'll switch to brandy.
Not a good idea. Brandy lovers die young.
I'll take that chance.
You've got a lot of nerve, ain't you?
And that's all I've got. I'm flat broke. How do you feel about advances?
I don't mind them at all, so long as you keep them in cash.
I should have walked out then. It was too easy, but I couldn't kick too much. I had 25 of Persian's bucks in my pockets that guaranteed he'd pick me up in the morning like he said. It was punctual. At 10:30 a.m. sharp, a big black sedan pulled up in front of my rooming house. Persian was all smiles as we drove across town to a small apartment house. He took me up to the 3rd floor to apartment 3B, opened the door, and handed me the key.
Well, this is where you work. Here's the scratch sheets, and there's the phone.
Ah, nice place. By the way, who's Eleanor Grayson?
Why?
Well, that's the name over the bell.
Oh, she lives in this apartment.
She know you're using the place?
You just answered the phone.
Yeah, but suppose you came in.
Look, you get here at 11 and pull out at 4. She'll never see you. That's the way I want it all the time, understand?
But how do I...
She thinks Branda uses the apartment.
Does she?
You're too nosy, and you talk too much.
Is that advice?
Yeah, let's call it that. The boys have passed the word around about the new phone. You ought to be getting action pretty quick. Write up all the bets you take. I'll call you up from time to time with results. So long.
It was one of those small apartments with a pull-down bed, but it was kind of nice. The sun came in at the windows of the living room. I had it in mind to explore the kitchen for a cup of coffee, but Persian was right. The word had got around. Hello?
This is J.K. Give me 5 win, 5 show on oatmeal in the 3rd at Pimlico.
5 win, 5 show, oatmeal. Okay, J.K.
By the way, how's the track there?
Let's see. Pimlico? Raining, but still fast.
Okay, thanks.
I was in business. I still had the coffee on my mind, but I had something else on my mind, too. The picture of a girl smiling at me alongside the telephone. It was good to have company, even if it was only a picture frame, because I was beginning to develop a queer, creepy feeling. And again I thought, maybe I ought to get out. But they kept me too busy. It was almost 1 o'clock, and I still hadn't had that cup of coffee. The phone kept ringing, and the girl in the picture kept smiling. I felt kind of cold all of a sudden, maybe because I hadn't eaten all day. I headed for the kitchen thinking there'd be some eggs at least, maybe some bacon. There was one of those swinging doors to the kitchen. I pushed it open. She was lying at the end of the kitchen, near the sink, all lumped up, her blonde hair matted with blood. I grabbed the stove to keep my legs from buckling. I was glad I hadn't eaten, but I turned her over just the same. It was Brandy. She was dead. So that's why Augie Persian hired me. And I'd called him a sucker.
For Suspense, Autolite is bringing you Edmund O'Brien and Ann Blythe in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Is it really as important as Autolite says to replace worn-out electrical parts in my car with original factory parts?
Important? Why, by Cornelius, the Autolite people are the world's largest independent manufacturers of original factory parts for automobiles. More than 10 million cars are equipped with Autolite parts.
No.
Think of it. Generators, distributors, coils, starting motors, spark plugs, batteries, and a whole host of other automotive parts are made by Autolite. And every one of those parts is precision designed by Autolite engineers who know cars better than old Dobbin knows his oats.
Sure do.
By Cornelius, your car will take to original factory parts like ducks take to water. And listen to this, Hap. That Autolite service.
Authorized factory service, too?
Yes, authorized factory service, too, Hap. Why, those skilled Autolite servicemen are factory trained to pamper, pet, putter, and pry till they get pinpoint perfection from every electrical unit in your car. Let me tell you, that combination of Autolite original factory parts plus Autolite authorized factory service is unbeatable, unmatchable, unexcellable.
Tut, Harlow, it's time to become suspensible.
And now, Autolite brings back to a Hollywood soundstage Mr. Edmund O'Brien as Harry and Miss Ann Blythe as Eleanor in Muddy Track. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Brandy looked a whole lot different than she had last night. Her mascara had mixed with tears, and her face was bruised. Somebody had given her the backhand treatment. It had all the earmarks of a fine Persian hand. But the thing that had put her out of circulation was a blow on the back of her head. So Augie Persian had fitted me out for a murder rap. That's why he was so anxious to hire a guy he didn't know anything about. The doorbell. Who could that be? I looked around. I was 3 floors up, and no fire escape, no back door. All I could do was hope they'd go away. Too late.
I didn't think anybody was here.
What do you want?
Well, this is the day I clean up and change the...
Not now. You can let it go until tomorrow.
But I don't usually come here tomorrow.
I said let it go.
Hi, who are you?
Never mind. Here's a dollar for your trouble.
Oh, thank you, but I don't think I should take it.
Make it next week. I had to force myself to wait there till I could be sure she'd gone away to clean another apartment. Finally, I let myself out, carefully. It was good to get out on the street again. People, kids. And somewhere, somebody laughed. If I hurried, I had a fair chance of getting out of town. I could keep out of Persian's way. I walked all the way to my rooming house, and the thought hit me. Stopped me cold. Fingerprints. I'd left them all over the place. I started back on the double. Ran all 3 flights up to the apartment. Opened the door with the key Persian had given me. Fingerprints. I had to get rid of them all. I picked up the phone. Wiped it clean. The kitchen. I tried to keep my eyes away from her. I couldn't help it. She looked so pitiful there on the floor. And then I noticed something clutched in her hand. A pasteboard. I carefully forced her hand open. It was a pawn ticket. I put it in my pocket and started to get up. Oh! It was the girl in the picture. She was leaning against the kitchen door, a face white with shock.
Is she dead?
Yes.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
How did you get in this apartment?
I live here.
Oh, and you're Eleanor Grayson.
Yes, who are you?
I'll ask the questions. Come on, I'm a detective. Let's get out of here. I herded her out of the apartment. She thought I was taking her down to the station, but I steered her into a chop suey joint. I ordered some tea for her. She looked like she was going to faint. She drank it. Feel better?
Oh, yes. Yes, thank you. I'm sorry to be such a bother.
I guess it was quite a shock.
No. No, not really.
What do you mean?
Brandy was a strange girl, always getting into trouble. Always getting mixed up with the wrong sort of men.
You've known her long?
All my life. We're from the same town. Came here together. Shared the apartment for a while.
Uh-huh.
She worked on the elevator next to mine in the Broadway building, but she hated it. And then one day a photographer rode in her car, and the next day she was a model.
Uh-huh.
That's when she took the name of Brandy. Her real name is Evangeline. She has the face of a Madonna, but...
I know. I met her. Looked like uptown, talked like downtown.
That must be...
Yeah. Now, take it easy. Take it easy. Now, tell me, what was she doing in your apartment today?
She paid half the rent. Well, she said she needed to use the phone for modeling appointments, but I never really believed that. I needed the money. I shouldn't have let her. Now I'll get into trouble. She was killed in my apartment. Now they'll blame it on me.
Look, why don't you go away and stay with a friend? You're in no shape to go back there.
You're very understanding for a policeman.
You'd be surprised about us policemen.
You'll help me.
Well, I'll do what I can.
You promise?
Yeah, sure. Don't bank on it too much, but everything I can. It's a lousy trick to lie to her like that. Poor kid. She'd be all right. And I needed time. That siren meant that the chase had started. It was my skin I had to worry about. I put her on a streetcar. Then I headed in the opposite direction on another one. I had to transfer twice to reach the spot I was bound for. The safest way to get out of town. About an hour later, in a diner on the outskirts of town, I found my boy.
Yeah, I'll give you a ride, Mac, but I ain't highballing out till midnight, and I can't pick you up here. Insurance spotters around. Know where Fremont turns into Kelso by 101?
Yeah, I'll find it.
Well, look, be there by the signal a little after 12. I'll pick you up.
I went back to my rooming house to get my stuff. My rent was paid. I wouldn't have to see anybody. I'd sure be glad to get out of this town.
You made me lose a bet, Clark.
He was a fat man. He was holding a cigar. He put the cigar in his mouth, and I was conscious of dimples. 3 of them. 1 in his chin, 1 in each cheek. I had never seen him before.
Yeah, I bet you wouldn't be fool enough to come back here.
What do you want?
I'm the contented type. I hardly ever want nothing. But Augie does. Augie Persian. He wants to see you. Bad.
I didn't say anything. I didn't have any words to argue with the gun he pressed against me as we went down the stairs. There was a car about halfway down the block, a big black sedan. I knew that once I got into that car, the chances were I wouldn't climb out again. So I made a run for it. Ducked into an alley.
Don't be a sucker, Clark.
I hid behind a bulge of a chimney. As he came around, I let him have it. Right in the stomach. He went down like a paper sack filled with water. He just sat there and grinned, holding onto his belly, sucking in air like an asthmatic. I ran to the other end of the alley and rolled my first 7 when I hit a bus sign advertising beds at $half a buck a throw. This would be my hideout until 11:30 when I'd catch my truck ride. I hit the pillow, shut my eyes. When I woke up, the sun was coming through the dirty windows. There were 2 old men talking close by.
No, sir. You don't catch me leaving town with that dragnet the cops got spread.
What time is it?
About 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock in the morning?
Well, that ain't the moon shining out there.
I'd lost my chance to get out of town. But what was worse, dragnet, he said. I had to find out. I dashed out onto the street to buy a paper, and then I discovered it. I was clean. Somebody in the flop house had rolled me. I didn't have a penny. And the newsboy hollering his head off about mysterious man sorting models killing. I couldn't afford to float around town with no dough. I couldn't afford the chance of ending up in a police lineup. And I certainly couldn't afford to let Persian get his hooks into me. There was only one other person I knew. I had to risk seeing her. I made my way to the center of town. I went through an arcade into the Broadway building and watched the elevators. She was running the second one from the right. I went up to the top floor on one of the others and got off and waited. When her car registered near the top and nobody was in the hall, I pressed the button to signal.
Down, please.
I've got to talk to you.
You're not a detective. You didn't fool me for long.
I know, I'm sorry about that, but...
Did you kill her?
What? Why would I want to kill her? I just met her last night in a bar.
But you were in the apartment leaning over.
I know it looks bad, but you got to believe me.
That's the starter signal. I have to go.
Please, wait. I haven't got anybody to turn to but you.
They're looking for you.
I know.
The cleaning woman told. I wouldn't want you to think that I'll lose my job.
Please.
Police have been in the building all day. You'll get caught here.
You've got to believe me. I didn't kill Brandy.
I've got to go. Please, they'll catch me.
Look. I'm broke. I haven't got a nickel. You gotta help me. I gotta talk to you.
Well, here's $1. I'll try to get you more later. I get off work at 6. Meet me at the Chinese restaurant where you took me yesterday.
Okay, thanks. The buck was crumpled in my fist till I got out of the building. Then I stuck it in my pocket and discovered a little piece of paper that got there first. It was the pawn ticket. The ticket I'd taken out of Brandy's hand when I found her in the kitchen of the apartment. Might be nothing. Might be something. I had to find out. Hey, Bud.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, can you tell me where the Acme pawn shop is?
Sure, right down the block there.
Oh, thanks.
Hey, mister, not that way, the other way, the other way.
I knew which way I was going, all right, because in front of that pawn shop I'd seen a long black car, and sitting behind the wheel was Augie Persian. I spent the next 2 hours in a movie, but I don't know what the picture was about. That pawn ticket kept bothering me. And Eleanor, was she really on my side? Could I depend on her? I decided to go to the Chinese restaurant, all right, but I wouldn't go in. I'd wait a few doors down the street. If she was on the level, she'd come alone. Here I am.
What? You said the restaurant.
Hi. Are you hungry?
No.
Let's walk.
It won't be safe to walk. They're looking for
Oh,
you.
come on. We can't stand here.
Well, there's the park across the street. It'll be dark soon.
All right.
You look tired.
I am. I'm dead.
Here's a bench. Why don't we sit down?
Okay. No, maybe it isn't such a good idea.
Why not?
Well, parks are full of cops snooping around. Maybe we'd better go, huh?
No, let's stay. Here, sit down. Oh, it's nice here.
Yeah.
Quiet. No elevators, no noise, no people.
Poor kid. I forgot. Isn't easy for you either, is it?
I'm worried about you. What are you going to do?
I don't know. If I only had something to go on. Wait a minute. There is something. I almost forgot it.
What?
The pawn ticket.
Pawn ticket?
Yeah, I found it in Brandy's hand.
Let me see it.
I got it right here.
Kiss me.
Huh?
There's a policeman. He's coming this way. Hurry up and kiss me.
I held her in a clinch until the cop's footsteps disappeared past us. Every nerve tight as a stretched tendon. And then, suddenly, the tightness was gone. And there was something else in its place. It had started out as just a prop kiss. Just a guy and a gal on a park bench. But that wasn't what it turned into. Eleanor.
Oh, Harry.
I didn't notice it before. You're beautiful. All day I've been running. Just now, 30 seconds ago, I started to slow up.
I know. There isn't much time, Harry. Please let me see the pawn ticket.
Sure, honey. Got it right here.
What's the matter?
That car down there.
Where?
Big black sedan. Look. See? Just stopped without lights. Persian's car.
Persian?
Yeah, but how did he know where I was?
Harry, give me the pawn ticket.
We got to get away from here, Eleanor. Come on.
No, wait.
Come on, don't be silly. Come on, hurry.
Stop.
What are you doing with that gun?
Never mind. Just hand over the pawn ticket.
Why are you so anxious to have it? What's this all about?
Don't ask questions. Just give me the ticket.
All right, Eleanor. Put down the gun. Go ahead. I'll give it to you.
No tricks now.
Oh, of course not. No tricks.
Don't move, Clark. This is the gun I got, too. See if she's dead, Dimples.
Okay, Augie.
We were fighting for the gun. It went off. I don't understand why
Don't ever trust a dame, Clark. Any dame. Eleanor told us you'd be here. In the Chinese restaurant or the park. She called me.
What? She called you?
She ain't dead, Augie. But she ain't gonna live very long.
Looks like crime doesn't pay, Eleanor, huh?
Don't kill him, Persian.
Me kill Harry? Oh, no, Eleanor. You were the target for tonight.
Me?
Yes. But you saved me the trouble.
Persian, you're crazy. You're crazy.
No, you are, Clark, for trusting her. Why don't you tell him, Eleanor? Tell him why you killed Brandy. How you'd been hacking her clothes, her jewelry. How she finally caught up with you.
I didn't mean to kill her. She found a pawn ticket. Threatened to have me arrested. She slapped me and we had a fight. She fell and hit her head on the sink. I didn't know what to do. Ran away.
And just then a perfect fall guy turned up. Friend Harry here.
Oh, that's why she needed this pawn ticket.
What pawn ticket?
This one.
Huh? Well, this ties it all up. She had to have this. Even if I had fallen for a double cross and rubbed you out, this ticket would still point to her.
Harry.
What, Eleanor? Tell me.
I didn't want to. If only we'd met before,
Well, that apartment is now available for new tenants.
We better beat it, Augie.
Hey, yeah. Come on, Harry. You know, I tried to catch up to you all day to give you protection.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah, I know, kid. I know. I had a girl, too.
Leave me alone.
Now, look, kid.
Leave me alone. I said shut up. Shut up.
Thank you, Edmund O'Brien and Ann Blythe, for a splendid performance. Mr. O'Brien and Miss Blythe will be back in just a moment.
Hello. Where in the world do you get all those Autolite adjectives you throw around?
Those aren't adjectives. Those are facts. And the fact is, I, old Harlow, A for Autolite Wilcox, would give a mountain of money for a meaty, memorable motto to remind America's millions of owners of Autolite-equipped cars to accept no substitute for Autolite parts. For there is no substitute for Autolite parts. So, friends, if you want really reliable electrical parts and service, drive down to your nearest Autolite service station or the dealer who sells your make of car and ask for Autolite original factory parts and service. Tell him I sent you and you'll be taken care of extra pronto.
Hello. Listen.
Autolite? You will find Autolite service stations listed in your classified telephone directory under Automotive Electrical Equipment. And remember, your Autolite electrical system is the lifeline of your car.
Right, friends. And here's something else to remember. Autolite means spark plugs.
Ignition-engineered spark plugs.
Autolite means batteries.
Stay full batteries.
Autolite means ignition systems.
The lifeline of your car.
And now here again is Mr. Edmund O'Brien.
I'd like to say for Ann Blythe and myself that it's been a pleasure to appear on Suspense tonight.
That's right, Eddie. And next week we'll be listening to one of the most famous of all suspense shows, Agnes Moorehead in Sorry, Wrong Number. And that is really tops in
Suspense.
Ann Blythe appears through the courtesy of Universal International and can now be seen in Mr. Peabody and the Mermaid, released by Universal International. Edmund O'Brien may soon be seen in Warner Brothers' Technicolor production, Fighter Squadron. Tonight's suspense play was written by Bob Shelley and Buckley Angel, with music composed by Lucien Moraweck and conducted by Lud Gluskin. The entire production was under the direction of Anton M. Leader. In the coming weeks, Suspense will present such stars as Ronald Colman, Rosalind Russell, James Cagney, Margaret O'Brien, Claude Rains, and Peter Lorre. Make it a point to listen each Thursday to Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills. And next Thursday, same time, hear Agnes Moorehead in Sorry, Wrong Number.
This is the Autolite Suspense Show. On this Armistice Day, Autolite is proud to join all America in a salute to the United States Marine Corps on its 173rd anniversary. Good night. Switch to Autolite.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
America was not yet at war, and the air in Washington was summer pleasant. But neither Katharine Hepburn nor her supporting cast nor I thought of pleasantries in those days. We were there to try and convince a handful of congressmen to permit refugees to enter our country, very small refugees, baby refugees who would be in the path of the German blitzkrieg. We did the broadcast, and happily our immigration door opened a small blessed crack, and some very small blessed children escaped Hitler and company.
Innocent children caught in the whirlpool of inhuman hatred. Children ostracized, excluded from schools and public places, threatened with physical harm, forbidden the simplest requirements of spiritual survival. Surely our American sympathies go to the most pitiful and helpless sufferers. America must do its share in offering refuge to some of these children as a token of our sympathy and as a symbol of our faith in the ideals of human brotherhood.
Miss Katharine Hepburn in another original drama. Its title, Miss American.
The scene, a great luxury liner returning from Europe to America. It is late at night. A girl stands on the boat deck looking out into the darkness, her face to the wind that lifts whitecaps on the tumbling sea. Suddenly, an older woman approaches and speaks.
Well, Ronnie, I must say this is a peculiar way to behave.
What did you say, Aunt Mary?
I said it distinctly and you heard me. Do you realize that people have been asking about you?
Have they?
Oh, Ronnie, do come downstairs, standing up here in the cold.
Please, I'm all right.
Oh, Ronnie, what is the matter with you?
Poor people.
People? Oh, that. Well, after all, my dear, there are always a certain number of undesirables on board a ship this size. And if you'd only stop wandering up and down the second and third classes, you'd find everything quite right and proper.
Right and proper?
As for the children, I spoke to the captain about them.
Did you?
Staring at us every time we walked the deck. I told the captain exactly how we felt about the matter.
We?
The things we talked about this morning.
Oh, yes, I remember.
I should think you would. You were quite definite in your opinion. And, of course, I agree with you. They've no right to take such young children and bring them to New York to heaven knows what. But you know the captain. That little charming smile, and he changed the subject, and, oh, what difference does it really make? We'll be ducking in the morning and away from all this.
Aunt Mary, there's something I want to tell you.
No, tell me later, my dear. Right now, the thing for you to do is to go down, get dressed, and join the others just as quickly as you can. Come now.
No. I want to stay here.
Why, Ronnie.
Please, a few moments longer. I'll come down.
Ronnie, I've never known you... Well, very well, have your silly little mood. But I don't understand what it's all about, mooning up here in the dark like a romantic 16-year-old. All I say is hurry downstairs. We'll be waiting for you.
Romantic. Yes, it is romantic. I'm in love with. If she knew. In love with... Yes, love at 23rd sight with...
America.
That's a childish thought to have.
Patriotic, Pap.
Of course it is. Of course. Getting softening of the brain. Thinking silly things. Over-emotionalized. Ought to go below and join the party. Stop standing here thinking to myself.
America.
No. No, why shouldn't I think it out? How did it start? The things we talked about this morning. Yes, Aunt Mary did say that. The things we talked about this morning. Those children.
Always staring at us.
Why bring them over?
Full of foreign ideas. Always staring.
Not like us. Foreigners. Not like us. Not like us. I said that, I remember. Not like us. Not like us. Not like me. Not like me. Resented their being on board. What happened? Oh, let me remember. I went walking on the lower deck. They were sitting there as usual.
The four of them.
Yes, the four of them. Sitting in a row. White faces, staring eyes, looking at me. At me. I couldn't stand it. What did I say? Yes, I said. You, children, don't you know it's bad manners to stare at people? For a moment, no answer. 3 little boys, 1 little girl. Their staring eyes. Why should they stare at me? I said, answer me, one of you. If you're coming to America, heaven knows why, at least they should have taught you some English. They didn't move. 4 rigid little figures. And then...
Do you all speak English?
Well, at last, the Saint speaks.
No, that is not my name.
He said that. Then he closed his mouth. And the 4 of them were sitting there once again. Those eyes of theirs, staring. I said, what are you sitting there for? I've been watching you all through the trip. You sit there in those deck chairs hour after hour. What are you waiting for?
America.
She said that, the little one. And then she closed her mouth so tightly I could see the muscles of the corners of her lips. She sat there, tense, frightened. Not another sound from any of them, their eyes beyond me, on the sea, on the horizon. I said, all right, you're waiting for us to reach land. But what's that got to do with the 4 of you getting up, running around, having fun? Come on. Don't you know how to laugh? Do you know how?
Then we are in America. Then we will laugh.
So that's it. You don't like the sea. You're waiting for the land.
No, we are waiting for America.
Waiting for America? What silly nonsense were these children thinking? Couldn't laugh until America. I thought to myself, how silly. Proves these children strangers, aliens, foreign to our thoughts. Aloud, I said, listen, the 4 of you. Are you trying to rid me in your infant continental manner? If you're waiting until you land, until you laugh, I'm warning you, you better start laughing now. Isn't much to laugh about there, let me assure you. The dullest, dumbest place on earth. Why do you think I went abroad? Laugh in America. Don't make me laugh. Not depressions and recessions and concessions and while I kept talking, the children's faces grew angrier and angrier. Their eyes larger and larger, hating me for what I was saying. Angrier and angrier. At last, one of them cried out,
No, wait.
Wait?
Miss American, wait. What you say, it is not right.
What's not right?
All these things you say of America. I do not understand. I do not know. But this I know. It is not right.
No, that is not right.
Now, wait a moment. And what is right, Herr Professor?
America is good. And it's a good place. Because, yeah, you say it. Because in America, all men are.
Created equal?
Yeah, and they are endowed by their creator with the right of life, on liberty, on the fruit of happiness.
Bravo! Right out of the old Declaration of Independence. So where did you learn that? And what does it mean?
Young teacher. Yeah, yes. Here on the boat, they gave me a book. I read. How you say it, Miss American. I teach.
You teach? You? And what you teach, all that about life and liberty, what can it possibly mean to poor children like you?
Maybe I do not understand everything you say, Miss American, but what we learn, it means that no matter what is wrong in America, it can be fixed. We are free and equal, and we can work and help America.
Help America? When he said that, I didn't have anything more to say. Nothing cute or bright or clever. Poor little children. I stood in front of them. Suddenly, I wanted to say so many things to them, but my throat, I couldn't. I couldn't until one of them said,
"Please, Miss American, what the book say about America? It is all right."
Right.
Tell us of it, Miss American.
Pity.
America. It's very large and very beautiful. And all the people in it, or their fathers, or their fathers' fathers, came over the water to it, just the way you're doing. And there's a bigness to it, and a braveness to it. And you need never be afraid. And no matter what goes wrong there's always hope, as long as there's someone like you to remind the rest of us that the American way is the human way. That's what I said to them. Yes. And they came close to me and touched my hand. And they smiled at each other and at me. And so I'm in love. Yes, in love. With my country. For remembering 4 little people who want to help us.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we bring this program starring Katharine Hepburn to a close. The broadcast was especially written for this occasion by Arch Oboler. The cast included Betty Kane, Jackie Grimes, May Grimes, Jackie Kelp, Adelaide Klein, Ed Latimer, Bobby Reddick, and George Wallach. And speaking, Raymond Edward Johnson. The music was composed by Leith Stevens, who conducted the orchestra.
Unsolved Mysteries. Borden case is undoubtedly without parallel in the criminal annals of America. It is perhaps the most puzzling murder which has occurred anywhere in the whole world. The perpetrator of this double murder was saved from the gallows by a most extraordinary chain of circumstances. Circumstances which perhaps would not recur in 1,000 years. Borden Place in Fall River, Massachusetts, was a house of silences. A house of moody, brooding silences brought about by pent-up hatreds, petty jealousies, niggardly dealings in money matters, and two daughters who hated their stepmother. A stepmother who hated with equal intensity her two stepdaughters. Even from the outside, the Borden house, where it stood on South Main Street, had about it an air of ineffable doom. The atmosphere of a place accursed. It is exactly 30 seconds before 11 o'clock on the morning of August the 4th. Bridget, the maid, finished with her morning duties, is resting in her room on the third story. Mr. Borden is lying on the couch in the living room. Emma Borden is away from home. And Lizzie Borden, is standing on the back porch.
Bridget, come here.
What's the matter, Miss Lizzie?
Come down quick. Father's dead. Somebody came in and killed him. Don't go in, Bridget. Don't go in. Get a doctor. Run across the street and get Dr. Bowen.
Is there anything wrong, Lizzie?
Oh, Mrs. Churchill, someone has killed Father. Please come over.
I'll be over right away.
The doctor isn't home. I left word for him to come.
Miss Lizzie, where were you when this happened?
I was out in the yard. I heard a groan. The screen door was wide open. I came in.
Lizzie, where is your father?
In the living room.
Where were you, Lizzie, when it happened?
I went to the barn to get a piece of iron.
Where is your mother?
I don't know. She had a note to go see someone who was sick. It must have been in town, but I thought I heard her come in. I don't know but what she may have been killed, too. Father must have an enemy.
What's all this, Lizzie? What's it I hear about your father?
It's Dr. Bowen, and he has Officer Allen with him.
Oh, Doctor, in the living room.
All right. Now stand back. Come on, Doctor. No need to examine him to see whether or not he's dead. Get me a sheet, somebody.
How long has he been dead, Doc?
About 10 minutes. Still warm. Lizzie.
Yes, Doctor.
Where were you when this happened?
I was over at the barn.
Where were you, Bridget?
In my room, upstairs.
Did you hear anything?
No.
Were you asleep?
No. I've just been lying down for a few seconds.
Now listen, nobody could have killed this man the way he's been killed without making some noise.
No signs of any weapon either, officer.
Let me see your hands, Bridget. That's it. Turn around. Nothing there. You, Miss Lizzie. Let me see your hands.
Me?
Yes, you. Whoever killed this man must have left some traces. And you were the only two people in the house.
There's no signs of blood on Lizzie. Not even inside her body. I've looked.
Bridget, you go upstairs and see if Mother's come in.
Not alone, Miss Lizzie. I'm not going up those stairs alone. I'll go with you. Oh, Dr. Lizzie. Oh.
That's Mrs. Borden?
Yes. I knew something like this would happen.
What? Why?
I just did. That's all.
Alan.
Yes, Doctor?
Mrs. Borden's been dead anywhere from 1 hour to 2 hours.
And he's been dead only a few minutes.
Yes.
Well, every one of you stay where you are. I'm going to search for the weapon. But neither Officer Allen nor any other of the many members of the police force ever found the weapon. Mrs. Churchill, from her window across the driveway, saw no one enter or leave the house. Mrs. Borden, the murdered woman, weighed nearly 200 pounds, yet no one heard a sound when the murderer felled her. Not a sound, not a cry, not a clue, but suspicions. Yes. Lizzie Borden lay in prison, staring at the whitewashed ceiling, hearing again and again the same words. Different voices, but always the same words.
Where were you, Lizzie Borden, when this happened?
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 Where were you, Lizzie Borden, when this happened? Where were you, Lizzie Borden, when this happened?
The Superior Court of New Bedford on this day, June the 20th, now in session. Chief Justice Albert Mason presiding. All stand while the justice takes his seat.
Mr. Robinson, you may begin your closing appeal to the jury.
Gentlemen of the jury, you have heard the witnesses describe the sitting room in which Mr. Borden was killed. How the walls, the ceiling were splattered with blood. Now, gentlemen of the jury, almost 2 hours elapsed between the murders. At no time was Miss Lizzie Borden out of the sight of Bridget the maid or Mr. Borden before his death for a period of more than 20 minutes. How could she cleanse herself of bloodstains in that length of time? I repeat, how could she cleanse herself of bloodstains in that length of time? She could not. Now remember that according to the state, Lizzie Borden must have killed her stepmother about 9:30, got rid of the weapon, cleansed herself, and appeared before Bridget the maid before 9:45. Again, she had between 10:45 and 11 o'clock in which to kill Mr. Borden, again dispose of the weapon, and again cleanse herself of bloodstains. Impossible, gentlemen of the jury, impossible. Within 15 minutes of Mr. Borden's death, Lizzie Borden was examined by Mrs. Churchill, who stated that there were no bloodstains on Lizzie Borden's person, not even inside her bodice. I have finished. I ask that you think carefully and seriously upon the evidence presented when you return your verdict.
The district attorney may address the jury. Gentlemen of the jury, the defense contend that Lizzie Borden did not have time to cleanse herself after killing her stepmother. Now, that is something that no one can say. The medical testimony cannot and does not specify the exact moment at which Mrs. Borden was struck down. And Lizzie Borden may have had ample time in which to rid herself of the telltale bloodstains. In regard to the killing of Mr. Borden, I admit the difficulty. I cannot answer it. You cannot answer it. But, gentlemen of the jury, Lizzie Borden was the only person who could have committed the double murder. And so I say to you, gentlemen of the jury, as presiding judge in this case, that if the state have not proved their case, then you must find for the prisoner and return a verdict so. You may retire to consider your verdict.
While the jury retire to consider their verdict, consider the case. It is not easy to remove bloodstains. Bloodstains can be removed more or less easily from the smooth skin of the face, but from the hands, no. Remember, too, that there was no bathtub in the Borden home. Do not lose sight of the fact that no weapon was found. No burned clothes were found, and the murderer must have been literally saturated with the victim's blood. Consider, too, that at any moment Bridget, the maid, or Mr. Borden could have walked upstairs and discovered the murderer killing Mrs. Borden. The jury have been out almost an hour. It is 4:30, and they file to their places in the jury box.
Are the gentlemen of the jury agreed upon a verdict?
We are, Your Honor.
Lizzie Borden, stand up. Face the jury.
We, the jury, find the prisoner not guilty.
A careful reading without emotion or favor of the trial transcript must convince any unprejudiced person that Lizzie Borden did not commit the double murder. Since this is an unsolved mystery, any solution is necessarily a supposition based, however, upon the known facts. A possible solution will be presented after you have heard from your sponsor. On 2 occasions previous to the Borden murders, the Borden home had been robbed of jewelry and money. Stray tramps had probably perpetrated the robberies, and remember that these gentlemen of the highway leave secret markings on walls and houses informing their brothers of the road that these houses are easy to rob, or perhaps a mark that tells that the householder is kindly and that food will be forthcoming. It is the morning of the murder.
Lizzie? Lizzie?
Yes, Mother? I'm going to town to visit a friend who isn't feeling well.
Now, Mother?
I'm going to my room to dress first. Have Bridget wash the windows.
Yes, Mother. Bridget? Oh, Bridget?
Yes, Miss Lizzie?
I'm going to do some ironing. Will you wash the windows?
Yes, Miss Lizzie. I've got the water and everything ready now. I'm going right outside.
Both for the irons won't be hot for quite a spell. I'll go to the barn and get the lead to make these sinkers for my fishing line.
A tramp hidden in the basement since early morning makes his way into the house. This is his opportunity for petty theft. The house is empty, he thinks. In the upper room, he comes face to face with Mrs. Borden. He silences her unuttered cry with a blow. Panic seizes him and he turns to flee. Escape is impossible. Lizzie Borden has returned from the barn, and tremblingly the murderer hides in the same room where his victim lies dead.
Here's your father, Miss Lizzie. I'm going up to my room for a few minutes.
Very well, Bridget. Oh, hello, Father.
Oh, hello, Lizzie.
Any mail for me, Father?
No, not a thing, Lizzie. I'm tired. I think I'll lie down for a bit on the sofa.
No, all right. I'm going out to the barn for a piece of iron.
The murderer, still hidden in the upper room, hears the door slam. He creeps downstairs to the living room, sees Mr. Borden on the sofa, and thinking he's asleep, tries to creep past him. Borden looks up, sees the blood-stained figure, but like Mrs. Borden, he is silenced with a blow before he can say a word. The back door creaks. Lizzie's returning. In a moment, the hue and cry will be raised. The murderer's only chance is to hide in the basement and wait for an opportune moment to escape. And so Fall River had an unsolved mystery. For the police, despite a statement that a murderer could have entered the house through the basement, didn't even look in the basement till the next day. And the murderer had, of course, made his escape in the dark of the previous night.
The Signal Oil Program, The Whistler. That whistle is your signal for the Signal Oil Program, The Whistler.
The Whistler, and I know many things, for I walk by night. I know many strange tales, hidden in the hearts of men and women who have stepped into the shadows. Yes, I know the nameless terrors of which they dare not speak.
Yes, friends, it's time for the Signal Oil Program, The Whistler, rated tops in popularity for a longer period of time than any other West Coast program in radio history. And Signal gasoline is tops, too, tops in quality. It takes extra quality, you know, to give you extra mileage. And Signal is the famous Go Farther gasoline. So look for the Signal circle sign in yellow and black that identifies friendly dealer-owned Signal stations from Canada to Mexico. And now the Whistler's strange story, Nightmare.
In the bouncing glare of the headlights, the narrow shoreline road twisted and turned dangerously. Signposts, clumps of pine trees, driveways to darkened estates whirled past Philip Adams as he raced through the night, and behind him the sirens grew louder and louder. As Philip Adams ran from the car into the brush, he patted his coat pocket. The bulging manila envelope was still there. Branches tore at his clothing. He stumbled on the rocky path. Fell. Quickly he staggered to his feet. and plunged on into the thick undergrowth. And then he heard voices and stopped to listen.
Mac, you and Charlie cover the creek there. Okay. Oh, Eddie, keep that spot on the road, will you? All right, the rest of you, come on. Hey down there, any luck?
No sign of him down here, Lieutenant.
Bound to be around here somewhere.
Are you sure this is the guy we're looking for, Lieutenant?
Yeah, we checked the license number. It's Adams, all right.
Think he might still have the dough on him?
Yeah, it's hard to say.
You know, he's no piker, this Adams. $200,000.
Yeah, well, it was easy for him. He worked for the bank, knew his way around. He hadn't got so anxious and barreled out so fast trying to get away.
Say, Lieutenant.
Huh?
I wonder if he had time to make it inside one of these estates along here.
Maybe. He'd have a tough time getting into this one, though. Oh, here, throw your light up there along the wall, will you?
Yeah. No, don't see a thing.
All right. Now, come on. Let's take a look over this way. Keep your eyes open.
You know, I got a hunch he headed back across the road.
As the officers move away to continue their search, you breathe a little easier, don't you, Philip? Painfully, you crawl from the underbrush and carefully hobble across the street. The entrance gate to the estate is locked, but you've got to get over that wall. A last desperate, agonizing leap gives you one more chance at freedom. But it isn't much of a chance, is it, Philip? As you lie there in a cold sweat on top of the wall, clutching the rough stone with bleeding hands, you feel the sharp pain spread slowly up your leg.
My leg.
You know you've hurt your ankle badly. Luck has been against you from the start. The officer was right, wasn't he? If only you'd taken your time, if you hadn't been so anxious to get away with the money, this wouldn't have happened. And the perfect crime isn't so perfect now, is it, Philip? Moments later, as the moon creeps from behind a cloud, you see the house a short distance away. Its windows are dark. Carefully, you drop to the ground. Move across the lawn. Your twisted ankle making each step an eternity of pain. The windows on the ground floor are locked. Then, as you cross the porch, you kick the doormat and hear the clink of metal.
A key. It's a door key. I wonder if... Let's see.
Yeah. You open the door cautiously. Smell the musty odor of a closed house. See the furniture covers, the rolled up rugs. Heaving a sigh of relief, you close the door. Hobble across the living room. In the kitchen, you turn on the water faucet. Let the cold water run over your bleeding hand. And then...
Well, hello.
Oh, hello.
I was sound asleep. I thought when you came, the noise of the car would wake me.
The car? Oh, you mean...
I didn't really know if you'd take the train, taxi, drive, or what. That's why I sent you the wire about the key.
Oh, yeah, the key. Oh, yes. Yeah, I found it all right.
Oh, your hand. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't notice. Here, let me...
No. No, it's nothing.
Oh, we'd better take care of this.
I tripped walking up the drive. Afraid I twisted my ankle, too.
I'd better call a doctor.
No, please. No, that won't be necessary. No, I'll be all right in a few days.
But he lives just down the road.
No, I don't need a doctor now, really.
Well, then I'll get some bandages. After all, that's what I'm here for. To take care of you.
Oh?
Oh, I'm Miss Wyatt. Hilda Wyatt.
Oh, Miss Wyatt. Oh, yes, of course. How do you do, Miss Wyatt?
In a few moments, she's back with bandages and iodine for your bleeding hand. And you watch her as she runs steaming hot water into a basin and wonder who young, attractive Miss Wyatt is. You wonder, too, who you're supposed to be. It's fantastic, isn't it? To sneak into a strange house and be greeted so cordially by a woman you've never seen before.
There now. If you'll put your foot in the water. Too hot?
No. I'll get used to it.
It should take the swelling down.
I'm certainly glad you're here.
Yeah.
This is such a big house. I guess I was a little frightened. I've been here alone the past 2 days.
You've been alone?
Oh, well, the employment agency didn't want to send any of the other servants down until they heard from Evans.
Evans?
The new butler. You know.
Oh, yes. Yeah, of course.
I spoke to him on the phone last night. Sounds rather nice. I think you'll like him.
Oh, yes. Sure I will. Where is Evans now?
He was in San Francisco. He said he'd be down in a day or so. You see, he was under the impression you wouldn't be here for several days. Something you said in one of your wires from Chicago.
Oh, yes. Well, I changed my mind.
Well, he's likely to arrive any time. Anyway, everything's practically ready for you. I made up your room myself. And if you don't mind my cooking for breakfast...
Well, of course not. You're very thoughtful, Miss Wyatt.
Oh, that's just professional instinct. And now that you're here in your new home, I hope you like it. And your new secretary, too.
I hope so, too, Miss Wyatt. Who told you I was just moving in?
The employment agency. They told me quite a bit about you. And the gardener next door is very talkative. Says he even knows what you paid for the house.
Oh, ow. Easy with that hand, Miss Wyatt.
Oh, I'm sorry. Not much of a brownie, I'm afraid. But I am a good secretary.
Yes, I'm sure you are.
I appreciate your hiring me, Mr. Crane.
Oh, you do?
Is something wrong, Mr. Crane? Mr. Crane?
Huh? Oh, wrong? No. No, everything's fine, Miss Wyatt. Yes, just fine.
With the prologue of Nightmare, the Signal Oil Company brings you another strange tale by The Whistler. But now, news about ethyl gasoline. Signal Ethyl is already back at many Signal service stations and will soon be available at all Signal stations. So tonight, on behalf of all the independent Signal dealers throughout the West, I want to take this opportunity to thank you loyal Signal customers for your patience during the period when unavoidable conditions made it impossible to supply this extra quality gasoline. Naturally, Signal Oil Company is doing everything in its power to get Signal Ethyl into all Signal stations as soon as possible, although it will take a little longer to supply stations located farthest from refineries. For your convenience, each Signal dealer will post a sign at his station the moment his supply of Signal Ethyl arrives. That sign will be your signal that you can again enjoy the faster starting, more flashing pickup, and smoother knock-free power of Signal Ethyl gasoline. So, for the very tops in performance from your car, watch for the sign at your Signal station that says, "We have Ethyl." And now back to the Whistler.
You're bewildered by the curious turn of events, aren't you, Philip? Fleeing the police in the middle of the night, entering a strange house, being greeted as though you belonged, greeted by the perfect secretary, Miss Hilda Wyatt, who somehow thinks you're the owner of the estate, a man named Crane. And now, as you stretch out on the long leather couch in the study, you can't sleep, can you? This strange refuge from the police is almost as nerve-wracking as last night's chase. Your swollen, twisted ankle makes walking almost impossible. And you know you're going to have to stay here in this house until your ankle gets better. But you think of what could happen. Perhaps the servants will arrive from San Francisco and expose you. Maybe the real Mr. Crane will show up. Something you'll say will arouse Miss Wyatt's suspicions. She'll call the police. As the first rays of the morning sun creep through the window, you try to ignore the pain in your ankle as you slip through the hall to the front door. All you want is escape. Escape to Mexico with the $200,000 you stole from the local bank. And then as you open the door...
Hello. Just about to ring your bell here.
Well, what is it you want?
My name's Haskell, Lieutenant, Norville Police. And you're,
Oh, my name's Crane.
I see. You own this place?
That's right. I bought it a little while back.
He's Hudson Willard Crane. He owns the Oil Club in the arena.
Miss Wyatt, good morning.
Oh, you shouldn't be on that ankle, you know.
This is Miss Wyatt, my secretary officer.
Oh, how do you do, Miss Wyatt? Oh, so you're the Hudson Crane that owns the Oriole Club, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I see.
Oh, you said you were looking for someone, Lieutenant?
Oh, yeah. A man named Adams. He ran off with a couple of $100,000 from the local bank. He was in the neighborhood last night. Thought he might have climbed over the wall and gotten into the estate here. You didn't see or hear anything during the night?
Why, no. No, nothing at all.
Uh-huh. Well, thanks, Mr. Crane. Sorry I bothered you. Thank you, miss.
Oh, it's quite all right.
Goodbye.
Well, Miss Wyatt, you seem to know quite a bit about me.
Oh, no, not really. Actually, I only know what they told me at the employment agency. They said you were young and rather good-looking, a successful nightclub operator, but I'll learn more in time.
Yes, for a new secretary, Miss Wyatt seems to know quite a bit about her employer, Mr. Hudson Willard Crane. Doesn't she, Philip? But it's lucky for you that the employment agency told her as much as they did. You couldn't have told the officers anything, could you? Not even Crane's first name. And you have to convince everyone that you are Mr. Crane for a day or so. Yes, Miss Wyatt was a lucky break for you. She's efficient, too, in many ways, as you find out the next morning.
More coffee, Mr. Crane?
Oh, no, thank you. This is fine.
I thought after you finished breakfast, we might get right to work. That is, if you feel up to it. There are some checks you should sign for the real estate people.
Checks? Oh, well, yeah, I'll attend to that later.
And the mail. Your correspondence is piling up.
Well, later, Miss Wyatt.
Well, all right, sir. Oh, I suppose you'll want to talk to Evans, the butler.
Evans, he's here?
He arrived a short while ago. He came on the bus.
Oh.
I'll send him in.
No, wait, not just yet.
But he'll be anxious to know how you want things done, Mr. Crane. After all, some of your friends may be dropping in. And...
Oh, Miss Wyatt, please. I'll take care of everything later.
Very well, Mr. Crane.
You notice the strange, puzzled look on Miss Wyatt's face as she turns and walks away. And you wonder if she's beginning to think that something is wrong. You realize that your only chance to evade the police is to stay in the house for another 24 hours, at least until your ankle's better. Yes, that's all you need, isn't it? 24 hours. And the police will have left the neighborhood by then, and you'll be able to slip away unnoticed. But in the meantime, you've got to somehow keep one jump ahead of the efficient Miss Wyatt. And to do that, you've got to know more about this man, Crane. You hurry to the study.
Oh, Mr. Crane,
Looking for something, Miss Wyatt?
Oh, well, I was just sorting things out.
I thought I made it perfectly clear that you were not to bother with business.
But these are the files you sent from Chicago. I was just going to straighten them out.
Uh-huh. I'll take care of Miss Wyatt.
Mr. Crane, I don't want you to think I was deliberately prying into your personal affairs. I'll get it. Hello? Yes, Chicago. Oh, yes, I'll take the call.
Just a minute, Miss Wyatt. Let me have the phone.
Well, all right, Mr. Crane.
Hello?
Hello, this is Mr. Crane.
One moment, please. Miss Wyatt, this is personal. Do you mind?
Of course not.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Crane?
Hey, what's going on there?
Let me apologize for the confusion, sir. We were just opening the house, and I'm...
Who is this, the new butler?
Yes, I'm the new butler. I'm Evans, sir.
All right, now get this. I'm leaving Chicago in a few minutes, flying out to San Francisco.
Do you wish me to meet you, sir?
Never mind, I'll pick up a car at the airport garage and drive in myself.
Oh, very good, sir.
My plane lands sometime tomorrow.
Pardon, sir. Would you mind telephoning from San Francisco when you arrive?
Why?
Well, I want to have the house ready for you, sir.
Oh, of course.
You'll be bringing guests, sir?
No, I'll be alone.
Yes, sir.
One more thing. If anybody asks you, you don't know when I'm coming back, understand?
Oh, yes, of course, sir.
I don't want to see anybody when I get there. Just get away from everything and everybody.
I quite understand, sir. Is that all, sir?
See you tomorrow, Evans.
Your hand trembles as you replace the receiver. You haven't much time now, have you, Philip? And yet somehow you sense in all this a real chance for escape. A few minutes later, you put things in motion in a conversation with Evans, the new butler. And you're no longer afraid, because you know now that he's never met Crane face to face.
Evans, I hate to have you just arrive and then send you off again, but something urgent's come up.
Very good, sir. Whatever you wish.
I'm going to have to make a quick trip to Canada. I want you to run into San Francisco and make the arrangements for me. Oh, here's some money. Buy anything you think I'll need.
Well, this might all take some time, sir.
It's all right. Well, I'd like to leave day after tomorrow, and you stay on in the city until everything's taken care of.
Very good, sir. I'll handle everything.
Yes, Philip. Evans will handle everything. He's very efficient. Too bad you have no intention of actually using his services. But it will look good to the police, won't it? When Crane finally arrives and they piece it all together. Discover that you planned a clever escape to Canada. It will throw them off, while you're actually continuing on your way to Mexico. It's later that night, with Evans gone, that you decide to speak to Miss Wyatt. Plant some things in her mind that will add to your plan in evading the police. You go downstairs and wonder why it's so quiet in the house. Suddenly you feel panic.
Miss Wyatt. Miss Wyatt. Miss Wyatt.
You wonder if she's gone, Philip. If she learned the truth and slipped away from the house. And then you see a crack of light beneath the study door.
Miss Wyatt, what are you doing?
Isn't it fairly obvious? I'm going through your Chicago files again.
No, your attitude's pretty hard to understand, Miss Wyatt. I think it's time we talk this over. Sit down.
No, I prefer that we stand for this.
Oh, God.
Stay where you are. I wasn't sure about you until just now, Crane, when I went through your files. If I had been, I'd have killed you the first night you were here.
Huh?
Do you think it was fun fixing your ankle, cooking your meal?
Now, wait a minute.
You've heard of imposters, haven't you, Crane?
All right, I'm an imposter, but... Look, I can make things easy for you.
You can't give me back Joe Baldwin, Crane.
Joe Baldwin?
My name isn't Wyatt, Crane. It's Baldwin. Edna Baldwin. I wasn't only Joe Baldwin's girl, Crane. I was his wife.
Joe Baldwin?
Now tell me the name means nothing to you. Tell me that, Crane. You don't remember how you framed him, do you?
Wait a minute. This is all a mistake.
It's no mistake, Crane. I found out everything 5 minutes ago.
I'd never heard of Baldwin. You gotta listen to me. You're all wrong. I'm not the man you
You're
want.
Hudson Willard Crane, and you framed Joe Baldwin into the electric chair.
Will you wait a
and you
minute?
double-crossed Joe and me, too, out of enough money to buy into gambling places in Chicago
Now
and
listen
Nevada.
to me.
And now you live like a king. Well, that's all over for you now, Crane. The law couldn't get you. But I will.
You don't understand. I'm not Crane at all. My name's
Don't
Adam.
come any closer.
Come on, give me that gun.
No.
Look, I'm not Crane, don't you see? You must believe me. Give me that
No,
gun.
you'd try anything, wouldn't you? But you can't get away with it with me.
Miss Wyatt.
You watch as she falls to the floor. A small girl now, small and white. You don't have to feel her pulse to know that she's dead. Numbly, you sink down in the chair, sure that this is the end. A murdered girl in the house. You wanted by the police already. An ankle that won't allow you to walk 2 blocks. It's all over now, isn't it, Philip? The grand plans for escape into Mexico. Everything's done. You'll be caught, and it'll be the gas chamber. As the phone's insistent ringing brings you back to your surroundings, you reach over and touch the cradle, hoping to stop the irritation of the sound. And then slowly it comes to you.
Hello?
A half-familiar voice on the other end of
Hello?
the wire.
Hello?
Hello.
Say, is everything all right there? Can you hear me? This is Crane. I'm in San Francisco.
Mr. Crane. Oh, you're in San Francisco.
Of course. You asked me to phone. All right, I'm here.
Yes, sir.
You sure everything's all right there?
Oh, everything's fine, sir.
You didn't tell anybody I was coming in?
No, I didn't, sir.
Good. I'll have a bite of dinner, and then I'll start...
Begging your pardon, sir, but could you hurry?
I thought you said everything was all right.
It's something I can't discuss on the telephone, not right now, sir. But your new secretary, Miss Wyatt, I caught her looking through your personal files.
What? I'll pick up my car and be there in 2 hours.
Very good, sir, and drive carefully, sir.
Yes, you must get Crane to hurry, Philip, because the car he's driving up from San Francisco is your way out. It all came to you when you heard his voice on the telephone. And there'll be no murder charge against you. It'll be against Crane, the one man who had reason to kill this girl. Methodically, you hobble about the room, setting the murder trap. The first thing, wipe the gun free of your prints. Straighten the rug. Turn a single lamp on in the study. Her body's behind the desk. It'll take him a while to see it. But while he's inside, you'll be in his car driving southward, and you'll stop just once to make an anonymous phone call to the police. You smile to yourself as you step outside in the gathering dusk and take your station well hidden behind the porch, waiting for Crane. The 2 hours seem like years, but at last a black limousine pulls up in the driveway, and a tall, broad-shouldered man gets out. You watch him go up on the porch and push open the door.
Hello, anybody home?
And your heart's in your mouth as you see him stoop and pick up the gun that you left lying in the hall. Quietly, you creep toward the car, and then a thought strikes you. Maybe he didn't leave the keys. You've got to have those keys. You're shaking as you come to the car and look through the open window and run your hand quickly along the dashboard. And then...
they're here. I'm in luck. The keys are here.
The Whistler will return in just a moment with a strange ending to tonight's story. Meantime, a tip for you drivers. Since cooler weather is here to stay, the kind of oil that you use in your motor is more important than ever. The reason? On short trips around town, your motor seldom gets warm enough to drive off the moisture that condenses in the crankcase. As a result, harmful gums may form, which can damage costly motor parts. That's why Signal brought out Signal Premium Compounded Motor Oil, an improved type lubricant which contains special scientific compounds. Inside your motor, these compounds go to work to do jobs which a regular oil alone cannot do. One compound, for instance, stands ready to dissolve any harmful gums that might form. Another compound washes out carbon. And still other compounds help in other ways to keep performance up and wear down. That's why Signal Premium Compounded Motor Oil is your guarantee of a sweeter running motor. So next time you change oil, make it a change for the better at your nearest Signal service station. It'll take your Signal dealer only a few moments to drain out tired old oil and refill with the improved type Signal oil that does so much more than just lubricate. Signal Premium Compounded Motor Oil. And now back to the Whistler.
It's been a nightmare, hasn't it, Philip? Your flight. The moments of panic before your escape over the wall to the protection of Crane's darkened house. The worry and constant fear of discovery. Of not being able to flee because of your swollen ankle. But it's all behind you now. Crane did exactly what you planned. He picked up the murder gun where you left it in the hallway. The gun you used to kill Hilda Wyatt. He's certain to be excused, and you'll see to it that with your phone call to the police. And the confusion of a murder will give you still more time to cross the border into Mexico with your $200,000. You smile to yourself as you open the door and start to slip behind the wheel.
Borrowing this car, Mr. Crane?
Where did you come from?
I've been sitting in this back seat all the time.
Look, it's a mistake. I'm not Crane.
Oh, that's so? I saw you sneaking out of the house.
I just came by to see Mr. Crane on business.
And he wasn't home, huh?
That's right. You looking for Mr. Crane?
Grand larceny, embezzlement, and a dozen other things. Just had a wire from the Chicago police to pick him up. Police? Yeah. Oh, I'm Reynolds, San Francisco headquarters. But Lieutenant Jeffries, the head man. You know, he might want to talk to you.
Oh, look, I don't want to get mixed up in anything.
Oh, if you're on the level, you won't get mixed up.
I'm in an awful hurry. I can't wait for your Lieutenant Jeffries to show up.
Don't have to. He's inside now.
He's...
Sure. That was Jeffries that went in the house just a minute ago.
You mean that wasn't Crane?
I thought you said you knew Crane.
Oh, well...
You know, I think we'll both go inside. Lieutenant Jeffries might want to ask you some questions.
Let that whistle be your signal for the Signal Oil program, The Whistler, each Sunday night at this same time. Brought to you by the Signal Oil Company, marketers of Signal gasoline and motor oil and fine quality automotive accessories. Signal has asked me to remind you, to get the most driving pleasure, drive at sensible speeds, be courteous, and obey traffic regulations. It may save a life, possibly your own. Featured in tonight's story were Joseph Kearns and Eve McVeigh. The Whistler was produced by George W. Allen and directed tonight by Sterling Tracy, with story by Robert Eisenbach and Jackson Gillis and music by Wilbur Hatch, and was transmitted to our troops overseas by the Armed Forces Radio Service. Remember, at this same time next Sunday, another strange tale by The Whistler. Marvin Miller speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum. This is Raymond, your host. Tonight we're going to make a long trip to Czechoslovakia. I'm afraid you won't have time to enjoy the scenery. It's dotted with nervous Nazis, and I don't think they like other nationalities. I know Inner Sanctum listeners are a reckless bunch, but I must warn you, don't give yourselves away by taking pot shots at the Nazis. We would like to return home with as few casualties as possible. But then, you never can tell. Traveling is so dangerous these days. Well, you ready for trouble? Oh, you're ready for anything. Well, that's good, because you may get more than that. Perhaps everything. Martin Gates, an Englishman married to a Czech girl living in Czechoslovakia, is one of the leaders in the underground movement. The story opens at a cottage in the woods on the outskirts of the small town of Galina. With him is his wife Anna and a friend, Joseph Barek. They are anxiously awaiting the arrival of another leader of the movement.
I wonder what's keeping Edward. He should have been here a half hour ago.
I'm sure he's all right, Martin. He has a charmed life.
He's never been late before. Well, I hope nothing's happened to him, Joseph. He's such a reckless devil.
If he's not back within an hour, I'm afraid we'll have to consider him.
Don't say that.
I know how you feel, Anna. I feel the same. There's a very high mortality rate in the underground. Colonel Schroeder has sworn to personally execute every one of us.
Yes, Colonel Schroeder, the mad butcher.
They're all mad, inhuman monsters, every one of them.
Some of them have been systematically brutalized. But Colonel Schroeder's not only vicious and cruel, he's on the road to complete insanity. Just the Nazi type to govern a conquered people.
He must be exterminated. His plan is to kill every Czech, make room for German soldiers.
Yes, if we kill him, there'll be terrible reprisals. And we've got to find some other way.
I'd give my life 5 times over to kill him. I'd be willing to endure any torture just to be able to get my hands round his throat. A murderous dog.
For him, there'll be a terrible vengeance. There isn't a Czech within hundreds of miles who wouldn't risk his life to kill him. Our time will come.
There's someone at the door.
Keep calm. Anna, you get behind the bureau. You, Joseph, open the door. Keep your body hidden, and I'll cover whoever's coming in.
All right, Martin.
It's Edward. He's shot.
Close the door.
Run. They're coming. They know who we are. What's happened, Edward? No time. Hurry, they'll be here in a minute.
Anna, get the first aid kit.
For heaven's sake, hurry. We're not going to let you bleed to death.
It's no use. I'm finished. Bullet in my lungs. Hurry, please. Colonel, try to press everything. He'll be here in a few minutes. Please, Martin, make them go before it's too late.
Edward's right. I can see them through the window. They're coming.
We'll go through the cellar into the woods. Bring the first aid kit with you, Anna. Joseph, help me carry Edward.
You fools. I'm dying. Save yourself.
Open the trapdoor, Anna.
All right. Hand it down, Martin. Easy now. Easy. All right. That's fools. Saving a dying man. You, Martin, you're not one of us. You can't save
Don't
me.
use your flashlight, Anna. Just walk straight through the tunnel. You can feel your way. And as soon as we get into the woods, we'll patch you up, Edward. You'll be all right. Sit him down here. Yeah, we've got to work fast.
He's bleeding badly.
Hand me the iodine.
Goodbye, Colonel. Take care of Floyd. For me. I'll be waiting for him when he comes.
Edward. Never mind the iodine, Anna.
He's dead?
Yes.
No tears. We don't mourn our dead anymore. I loved him as I would my son. But we don't mourn our dead. We avenge them.
Goodbye, Edward.
They're coming.
Better lose ourselves in the forest. We'll have to separate. We'll meet at the old well as soon as it's safe. Take care of yourselves. We need you both.
I can't go any further.
Yes, you can, darling. You must.
They're getting closer. Martin, go ahead without me. I'm only holding you back. We'll both get caught.
We'll either escape or be captured together. Now, save your breath, darling.
Listen to me, Martin. You're the leader of our movement. It's more important that you save yourself. If you love me, you'll leave me here. I can't go on anymore.
You can and you will. Oh, look. Look, we're in luck. Here's the stream. Now walk in the center of it. That'll throw the bloodhounds off the trail.
I have to find a place to hide.
Just hold out a little longer, darling. We'll find someplace. That's what I've been looking for there. Look, a cave. We'll hide in there. Now, if we can only get in without stepping on the ground, we'll be fairly safe.
Let's see how we can do that.
It's only a few feet up. Yes, we can swing over to the mouth of the cave by this overhanging branch here. I'll go first, and you do exactly as I do. All right, Anna. Go ahead, and make sure your feet don't touch the ground.
I'll try.
You made it, darling. Well, now we'll hide in this cave. The dogs will never be able to find our scent.
I couldn't have gone much further.
Oh, bless you. You can rest now.
They're coming towards us.
They've stopped baying. The dogs have lost the trail.
What is the matter with the dogs? Why did they stop? They have lost the trail, Herr Colonel. Lost the trail? They got away? We've got to find them. Have the men spread out. They can't be very far. If you hear a sound, challenge it. If they don't answer it, shoot. Yeah, Herr Colonel. They must not escape.
Those vicious beasts.
Be very quiet. With a bit of luck, they'll pass us by.
They'll surely examine the cave if they see it.
They won't notice it. It's well concealed. One of the nasty swines nearby. Oh. Are you hurt?
No. It's so slippery in here.
I hope he didn't hear that stone fall.
Who is that? Answer or I'll fire.
It's Private Vogel. There does not seem to be anyone in here.
You had better answer more quickly when you're challenged. I almost shot you. You want any help?
Oh, no. I'll just look around some more and then I will come out.
Perhaps I'd better come in and help you. It's a good place for them to hide.
No, it is not necessary.
They are very tricky, these chaps. I'm coming in.
Anna, get as far back as you can. I'll take care of him when he comes in.
Maybe I can help you.
No. Do as I say.
Who is that you're talking to?
Oh, I was talking to myself.
Stay where you are, Anna. The rest will be here in a moment. At least this dog's dead.
So, Herr Gates, we finally caught up with you.
Just imagine. The leader of the underground hiding in the cave like an animal.
You're mistaken, Colonel Schroeder. What you mean is hiding from an animal.
Still full of fire, aren't you, my brave Englishman? Perhaps it is only to hide your great fear of Colonel Schroeder, the angel of death. Anyone who looks into my eyes sees death. No one can look me straight in the eye.
Yes, perhaps you're right. Your face would frighten anyone to death, because it's hard to believe such eyes belong on a human face.
It is typical of you English to be melodramatic and defiant. But maybe before you die, you will be begging for mercy.
Mercy? I didn't know you knew what the word meant.
Too bad I must kill you. We could have such brilliant talk together. I like clever people. They're so stimulating. These Czechs, bah, they die quietly. They don't talk.
Someday they'll talk, Colonel Schroeder. It'll be a terrible day for all you Nazis. They won't talk then, they'll shout.
That day will never arrive. But you, Herr Gates, you'll say something bright, won't you, when you face the firing squad?
Yes. Yes, I'll say something. Something very bright.
Good. I like to see people die full of lust for life. Especially those who hate me deeply. You, Herr Gates, must hate me with a truly magnificent hate.
It's more than hate. It's the deepest kind of sickening disgust. Disgust for your ideas, disgust for that diseased mind in your fat, diseased body. And that, Colonel Schroeder's putting it mildly.
I could have you tortured to death. You would die in pain. It would take hours. But you can be spared all that. I might even spare your life. Tell me, where are the others hiding?
I'm sorry, Colonel Schroeder, but that's a military secret.
I see you are most anxious to die.
No, you're wrong, Colonel Schroeder. I'm very fond of life. Someone who had a great love for freedom once said it's better to die on your feet than live on your knees. You see, I'm proud to be a human being. If I betrayed my comrades, I'd lose that pride. And that would make me something like you. Something that talks and acts like a man, but is really a beast. You understand me, don't you?
You're talking too much already. Shut up!
You're getting angry, Colonel Schroeder. If you're not careful, you'll be insane with rage, and that's not good for you. You may become completely crazy.
Shut up, I tell you! I've had enough from you! Shut up!
I thought you liked people who make a big noise about dying. You like people who talk.
I'll kill you with my own hands, you British fool. I'll teach you how to talk respectfully.
You've now lost complete control of yourself, Colonel Schroeder. If you could only see yourself now, raving mad, all your superiority gone.
That will keep you quiet.
Yes, that's always a way out, striking a defenseless man to soothe your ruffled nerves.
I'll take that calm look off your face.
It seems that it's you who are afraid of me, Colonel Schroeder.
Afraid of you, eh? That is a good one. We'll see how calm you look tomorrow when you're a corpse. Too bad you won't be able to see yourself. You'll be so dead.
Well, so this is a picture of what it's like to live in a country dominated and trampled upon by the Nazis. But then out of this horror, hate and violence, there are still men like Martin and Yusuf who refuse to be slaves. It's these brave men who carry our future upon their shoulders. But then our story is far from over. There is an end to this story, a grim and terrible end. A few hours later now, in the dark and early hour of the morning, Anna makes her way in wild haste through the forest to the hiding place of the underground. She finally reaches the old mill and...
You, Anna.
I'm glad you've escaped.
They've caught Martin. They're going to shoot him.
I know, Anna. In the morning at the public square in Galena.
We've got to do something, Joseph. We've got to save him. We can't let him die.
I'm sorry, Anna. There's nothing we can do. I'd gladly give my life to save him. Every one of us would.
Oh, you're right, Joseph.
Later, when it's safe, we can give Martin decent burial. Czechoslovakia will never forget him. Don't hold back your tears, Anna. They're good tears. If I knew how, I also would weep.
Ah, Herr Gates. It is a beautiful morning, no? Take a deep breath. It is so good to be alive, isn't it? Almost makes you want to sing.
You're wasting your time, Colonel Schroeder. If you expect me to go to pieces, you're very much mistaken.
You're right, then, Herr Gates. We will not waste any more time.
Sergeant Goulda! Ja, Herr Colonel.
Escort the prisoner to his place. Right in front of that little grave we dug for you. You will be shot and buried at the same time. Very efficient, isn't it, Herr Gates?
I'm ready.
Forward! March! Coming in! On! Attention! Ready! Aim!
Hold your fire a moment. Herr Gates, you promised to say something clever before you died. We are listening.
German soldiers, as long as you live, you will never forget this cold-blooded butchery. Never will you wipe your hands clean of the blood you are shedding. Even if you survive this war and the terrible vengeance afterwards, you will never have a moment's peace. Your conscience will torment and plague you till the day you die. Turn your guns upon your real enemies, the Colonel Schroeders and the Himmlers, the Hitlers and all your evil leaders who are betraying you, who are sending you to die senseless deaths upon the battlefields. Turn your guns upon these monsters and help free humanity.
Fire! Fire!
You are quiet now, eh, my brave Englishman? Too bad you have only one life. I would have liked to shoot you twice.
Sergeant Goulda!
Do not shovel the earth over him yet. It will be good for these Czechs to see their leader's corpse.
There isn't a single one of those beasts around, Joseph. Perhaps it's a trap.
No, they're just scared. They've lost too many soldiers during storms. There's the pit. He must be in there.
Those beasts. I'll pay for this.
Here we are. There's no one around. We'll have to work fast. Anna.
I'm all right.
I'll get into the pit and lift him up. Grab him by the shoulders and...
What was that?
It came from the pit.
It's Martin! He's alive!
He's alive! We've got to get him to shelter quickly. He's very badly wounded.
Alive! Oh, we've got to get him away from here quickly. We've got to hurry. They may come any minute. Hurry.
Easy now. We'll get him away safely, all right. Just keep cool. There. Now, pull him up. All right. Now, just hold him while I get him onto my shoulders. Good. It's a miracle, Martin. You've been executed, and you're still alive.
What's more, I'm perfectly all right now. All these shoulder wounds are practically healed.
You're not perfectly well yet, Martin.
Oh, I'm well enough. That speech I made before I was shot must have unnerved the firing squad. Only 3 bullets hit me, and all in the shoulder.
Perhaps you ought to wait another week.
No, I'm all right now. We of the underground have no time for luxurious convalescence. I have a plan to take care of Colonel Schroeder. Take care of him for good.
Let's hear it.
We're going to get him here, at the old mill.
Here? Give our hiding place away?
That's right. We'll have to find another hiding place afterwards.
How are you going to do that?
By dangling some bait in front of him.
I don't understand.
You're going to be the bait, Joseph. He's been waiting to lay his hands on you for quite a long time.
The feeling is mutual.
It won't be necessary to touch him. You see, he's on the road to complete insanity. All he needs is a little push, and we're going to give him that push. Now, listen carefully. This is the plan.
Colonel Spider, the company is ready.
Good. Tonight we finish off the last of the leaders of the underground.
Yeah, Colonel Spider.
We are going to visit Herr Josef Varek at the old mill in the forest. That will be number 3. Dinich, Gate, and now Josef Varek. Oh, the Gestapo will be pleased with my report. I'll write it with eloquent briefness. All leaders of the underground in Area 8 have been caught and executed. Signed, Colonel Schroeder. How does that sound to you?
Very excellent, Herr Colonel.
So this is where they've been hiding. It looks quite deserted. He's hiding in there, and we're going to ferret him out. Set the machine guns up in case he escapes and makes a run for it.
They are already set up, Herr Colonel.
Good. You and I are going inside.
Perhaps we had better take a detail of men inside with us.
You are afraid?
No, Herr Colonel, but we may be surprised.
I'm going to shoot him myself. Let's go.
There's no one in this room.
We'll go to the next room.
This room is also empty.
Come. We'll search the others.
Look, Herr Colonel. Under this closed door, there's a dim light.
Open the door slowly.
There he is. Look, Herr Colonel. He's hanged himself.
This swine. He tricked me. Could not stand it any longer, could you, Herr Varek? The Germans are too much for you.
Colonel Schroeder.
What is it?
It is not Varek.
It is the Englishman.
Martin Gates. We shot him a few weeks ago.
Yes, I had him shot 3 weeks ago.
I do not understand.
We can leave now. Have some of the men cut him down. We'll get to the bottom of this.
They are all bolted. Fire the revolver. Call the men.
Sergeant Goulder.
So, Colonel Schroeder, we meet again, eh?
Let me out. Let me out.
You can't get out. All the doors are shut, and your soldiers can't hear you.
I have got to get out. Let me go. Let me go.
No use, Schroeder. You can't escape. You can't ever escape. Why don't you shoot me? Perhaps you can kill me twice.
No, I do not want to shoot you. You are dead.
That's right, Colonel Schroeder. I'm dead, and so are you.
I'm dead. No, I'm alive. I will get out. Stop, Lieutenant! Help me! Oh, can't anyone hear me? I will go mad.
You're dead, Colonel Schroeder. That's why no one can hear you.
You lie. I am not dead. I am not dead, I tell you.
Your body is lying dead on the floor over in that corner near the door. You were shot in ambush by Josef Varek.
You lie. There is no body on the floor.
You can't see it because you're dead. You're doomed for eternity to keep running in circles in this room. I'll always be with you. That's your punishment.
No, it is not true.
This is your fate until the end of time, to see me hanging dead in front of you, a symbol of all the others you have killed.
It is not true. I am alive. See, I scratched myself. I am breathing. I am alive. I am alive. I am alive.
It is only the dream of the dead You can't feel anything, can you?
I can. I will show you.
Try banging your hand on the door. You will see.
Yes, that will prove it.
I told you, you can't feel a thing.
I cannot feel anything. There's no pain. But I am alive, I tell you. See, I bleed. I will run my fingernails over my face again. See, I am alive. I will do it again. I am alive. I am alive. There is blood on my hands. There is blood on my face. I am alive.
So our score is settled with that butcher. A terrible punishment, but a fitting one.
That was ingenious, Martin, tying a rope around your chest and then slipping a noose over your neck to make it look as if you were hanging.
It got a little uncomfortable after a while. Even hanging by the chest is not pleasant.
My only regret is that I didn't kill Colonel Schroeder myself.
No, Joseph, this is much better. There will be no reprisals now.
All these Nazis will sooner or later wind up in the lunatic asylum where they belong.
No, Anna, they're not all lunatics. Most of them are very sane and very cunning gangsters. They're one of the deadliest plagues that have ever beset mankind. We must destroy them. And that could only be done on the battlefield. It's either them or us. And it will be them. The final victory belongs to us, the freedom-loving people of the world.
Well, that takes care of Colonel Schroeder. I do hope you're not disappointed that we didn't kill him. It's really a fate worse than death, don't you think? My only regret is that he wasn't a general. But now has come the time to close our creaking door and bid you peaceful slumber. Oh, by the way, if any of you will come across any high Nazi officer, a general or higher, please let us know. We can use them on Inner Sanctum. Just communicate with Martin Gates. He's in charge of our corrective department. Yes, he corrects them or wrecks them.
Quiet, please. Quiet, please. Mutual Broadcasting System presents Quiet Please, which is written and directed by Willis Cooper and features Ernest Chappell. Quiet Please for tonight is called Camera Obscura. I don't suppose you ever killed anybody, did you? I didn't think you had. Funny, though, you can't tell, you know. Murderers very seldom look like murderers, and there's lots more of them around you have any idea. I know a fellow, a little squinched-up, wheezing gizmo. He's a carpenter, lives on Berenda Street down in L.A. Murdered his wife's brother in 1928, and nobody ever had the faintest idea, except the wife's brother. And the guy's doing fine. He thinks he's got away with it. Well, he'll find out. Like that woman in Alameda that killed her husband with that stuff you can buy at any drugstore and never have a clerk raise an eyebrow at you? No, there's no such thing as getting away with murder, friend. Believe me. And for my money, walking up the 13 steps and standing on a trap door with 9 turns of a hangman's knot rubbing against your left ear, or sitting in a chair smelling burnt almonds with a lot of scared faces staring at you through a little window, or even the hot squat itself. Believe me, any of those legit ways of paying off for murder is pie compared to what you're going to get if you let it ride. You're sure you never killed anybody, huh? Well, you better be. I know. Believe me, I know. I killed Philip D. Vandervoort on September 29th, 1928. I was never arrested. I was never suspected. But, no, I'm not going to tell you how I killed him. I'm not running a school for murderers. And anyway, if you're planning on murdering somebody, you got your own ideas on how you want to do it. The only thing is, I bet you quarter when you get done listening to me, you'll change your mind. You see. The man said he was going to call my story Camera Obscura. I suppose maybe that puzzles you a little bit. Not everybody knows what a camera obscura is, but practically everybody here in Santa Monica knows. The biggest camera obscura in the world's right here, down at the foot of Santa Monica Boulevard in the little park that runs along the top of the Palisades. It's a little green building, probably 20 feet high, practically circular, maybe 20 feet in diameter. And up on the top, in a little kind of cupola, is a lens. Like a camera lens, only bigger. And some kind of mirror arrangement in there with it, and there's a big round table that almost fills the building, white top on it. And the image the lens picks up is reflected down onto the table, so it's like a Technicolor movie of whatever's going on outside. There's a wheel, like a ship's steering wheel, that you turn the lens with it, turn it around so you can point it out towards the bay or up the street or anywhere. That's a cute little gizmo. Tourists have been getting a kick out of it for I don't know how many years. Ask anybody that's ever been in Santa Monica. Everybody's seen it. And an awful lot of people have been in it. That's the Camera Obscura, a harmless little green building in a park in the sunshine. And black as a murderer's heart inside. And a miniature world lying flat on a table in there. Go see it sometime. You'll get a bang out of it, too. Even if you don't see what I saw. There was this girl that worked in Llewellyn's restaurant next door to Harry Cowan's bargain store where I worked. No, I'd forgotten her name, Kate or Mary or Joanne or something. Just to show you. That morning, I went next door for a cup of what Llewellyn claims was coffee. Nobody in there but this girl, this waitress, Mary or Kate or whatever her name was. She'd been crying. I said, "What's the matter with you, kid?"
Nothing.
Give me a cup of coffee. What's the matter, kid?
Oh, nothing. Sigh. You seem so vanderbilt the last couple of days.
I looked up at her, and the tears started out of her eyes again. I said, and I was telling the truth. I said, "Not since night before last." "Why?" I said.
Where'd you see him?
Why, down to the PE station down the street. What's the matter? Did he run out on you?
Oh, Sigh. Did you know?
What do you mean? Did he?
He's gone.
You sure?
I knew it when I gave him the money. I knew it.
What did you do? Did you give him money?
Oh, Sigh, don't tell anybody, will you? Please don't.
Well, I won't, but...
He said he needed $200 to pay a man for something, and the banks were closed, and he couldn't get any money, and he needed it so bad.
You mean you gave him $200?
I borrowed it from Llewellyn. I told him I'd give it back to him in the morning. I had $240 I saved up, and... Sigh, what am I going to do?
Wait a minute, I said. So this was where the money came from. Well, wait a minute, I said. You mean you borrowed $200 from Llewellyn to give to Phil, and now he's gone and you got to dig it yourself?
Saved, Sigh, and now I...
Well, ain't that fine? Ain't that fine? How come you did it? Couldn't you have borrowed it from somebody else, for God's sakes?
We was going to get married, Sigh.
Well, you sap. $200, you sap.
I know it. But what am I going to do?
I guess pay up. You said anything to the police?
Oh, no.
You You going to?
I don't know. Should I? No, I can't.
Why not?
Well, I don't know if he really ran out on me, but
You were going to marry him, huh?
he asked me to.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, Si, don't say anything about it to anybody, will you?
I won't say
Please.
anything. I won't say anything.
If he's really gone,
He's gone all right.
what should I do?
Well, you can go to the cops if you want to, but if I was you, you'd get an awful lot of publicity, you know that. Worth $200 to you?
I know it. I don't know what to do.
Well, I gotta beat it. Harry will be screaming for me. Here, you got change for a $10 bill?
Yeah, I guess so. $10, 50, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10.
See what I mean? She didn't have the faintest idea that was one of the $10 bills she gave to Phil Vanderbilt a couple of nights ago. Isn't it amazing? I should have thought she'd notice how wrinkled and damp the bill was from the salt water. You see, I didn't think about going through his pockets till after I took him out there under Santa Monica Pier and fastened him to one of the pilings down deep. That was a good place, I thought. Nobody ever goes out there. Nobody but the barracuda and the flat, ugly stingrays with those rows of teeth like white needles. Kind of left the camera Obscura sitting out there on the Palisades all by itself, didn't we? Now, we'll get back there. I'll say we will. It was funny about Phil Vanderbilt. He was one of those fellas you see around town. You never get to know him. But you see him, and he's like a bus stop sign or one of the kids that sells the outlook in the Express on the corner across the street from the California Bank. You know, he's there, and you never notice him. Never notice him when he disappears, either. It's like that in California quite a lot. So Philip D. Vanderbilt sort of faded out. And practically the only people in Santa Monica that thought about him was me and the babe in Llewellyn's restaurant. And she didn't know I thought about him at all. Funny how a fella is. She never brought up the subject to Phil. I was the one that talked about it. And she... Well, I guess she had been in love with him. There's something about being in a setup like this, a game, kind of playing it right up to the edge, saying things that'd give you away if she'd had the slightest inkling. Had a great kick. Yeah, a great kick. I remember one afternoon, I had Wednesday afternoons off, and that day I stopped in the restaurant, and she was putting on her hat. Llewellyn had told her her business was slack that day, and she could have the half day. So instead of eating a piece of pie, I said, "Come on, let's take a walk." Thought maybe we'd go down to the beach and take one of the trams over to Ocean Park and play tango, eat a couple of hot dogs. So we started down Broadway, and I said, "Hey, you ever been in that camera Obscura over there?"
No, you?
No, let's go see what it is.
Okay.
It was one of those afternoons when the sun was still shining bright. There was a big bank of fog sitting offshore a few miles, sort of sneaking in to take over. Those afternoon fogs in Santa Monica are a thing. They slide in, and all of a sudden there's like a great big, damp, gray seagull sitting down on top of you. So I figured the fog would be in another hour, and the beachfront is pretty dreary when that happens, so maybe we'd kill a little time in this gizmo and then walk on over to the Criterion and see the Rough Riders. That was what was playing then, the Rough Riders. There isn't anybody around the camera Obscura when we climb up the steps. No tourists, nobody, just the girl and me, whatever her name was. The wooden door bangs behind us. I didn't know a place could be so dark. Well, we stood there and looked at the white-top table and the moving picture of Santa Monica on it. I have to admit it's quite a kick the first time you see it. But I hadn't seen anything yet. I twisted the wheel around, and the picture slid across the tabletop, and there were the breakers rolling in. There was the Monica Ballroom and the merry-go-round and the pier, and people fishing and people walking around. And I thought about what was under that pier. if it was still there. And then a man walked by real close, so he almost filled the whole picture. He turned, and he seemed to look right at us, up off that tabletop.
Look, there's Phil.
And there he was, staring right at me and kind of smiling, and right behind him in the picture was the pier I left him under. And he stood there, and she fumbled at the door and threw it open, and the light flooded over the picture, and he was gone. Yes, and when I went outside, he was gone from there, too.
But we saw him, Si. We both saw him.
I don't know. I couldn't tell her it was impossible for Phil Vanderbilt to stand outside the camera obscura that afternoon, could I? I had to go along with her. I had to say, sure, you'll see him again. Sure, you get your $200 back. Sure, he'll show up again. Every time I said it, I got that chilly, cold seaweed feeling between my shoulder blades. I should have had sense then and gone up to Clarence Webb's office and turned myself in and said, Clarence, I murdered Phil Vanderbilt, and you'll find him tied to a piling under the pier out there just the other side of the dance hall. I should have done that. All they'd have done to me was send me up to Folsom and put the black cap on me. No, I had to do it the hard way. I had to get away with murder. I had the hunch, and I didn't play it. I wish I had, that's all.
Let's go over to the camera obscura again, Si.
I didn't want to go to the camera obscura again. I didn't want to go in there in the dark. I didn't want to see that picture. I didn't want to see Phil Vanderbilt. This afternoon, the fog was already coming in. You couldn't see the end of the pier. And as you looked out toward the bay, that white wall kept easing in closer and closer. I had the feeling that when it got to me, I'd disappear, too. Right in broad daylight, you get that feeling. It was warm in there in the camera obscura from the sunshine that had been beating down on it all that morning.
Look at the fog, Si. Look, Si.
And the fog in the picture swirled aside a little. There was somebody coming toward us. I had the illusion that he was actually coming toward us right out of the picture. And then the fog blew away a little more from his face.
It's Phil. Look, Si, it's Phil. I know we see him again. Phil! Phil!
And she ran out of the place and the door slammed shut. I was all alone in there. She ran down the steps and I could see her in the picture, and Phil came walking steadily toward me, and then I could see her in the picture. She ran toward him outside there, and I could hear her calling outside. Then she ran toward him in the picture, and I could see them both just as plain as I see you. And she ran straight through him as if he was part of the fog himself, and he kept on coming closer toward me. Closer and closer. I don't know how I got out of there. I honestly don't know. I remember I couldn't find the door in the dark, and when I finally did get out, my hands were all full of splinters from pounding on the walls, and there was a gash over my eye where I fell down the stairs, and I've never been so scared in my life. I mean to say I had never been so scared in my life. You see, something tripped me as I opened the door. Something caught my ankle and threw me. No, it wasn't Phil Vanderbilt hand, as you're probably thinking. It was a long strand of wet seaweed. The kind that gets all tangled around the pilings under the pier.
Let's go over to the camera obscura.
I said I'd never go to that place again. I will never go to that place again.
I'm going anyway. If you don't want to go, I'm going.
I said don't go. Don't go. It's foolish to go to that place.
There's some reason why Phil's hanging around that place, and I want to go there.
I know why. I know why he's hanging around there.
No, I won't go to the movies with you. Going over to the camera obscura, whether you want to go or not.
And I knew I had to go. I said to myself, if you let that girl go over there by herself, she'll see him again, and what'll she find out? I said to myself, you got to go with her so you can keep her from finding out whatever she might find out. And I said, well, all right, I'll go just this one time. There wasn't any fog this time. It was a beautiful, bright day. There was just the two of us. Or I should say the three of us. Yeah, we saw him again. This time was the payoff as far as she was concerned. No, I'll tell you about it. There wasn't anything wrong with the picture as long as we had the lens aimed toward town. She turned the wheel slowly, and the picture flowed past on the table. Up northward towards the Miramar Hotel, down Ocean Boulevard with the palm trees in front of the little real estate offices. And then we were looking up Broadway, and I could see Harry Cowan walk out of the store and into Llewellyn's. Then the gas station came into view, and we looked down Ocean Boulevard the other way, and then the rustic fence at the edge of the Palisades, and the spires of the dance hall on the pier swam across the board. And there was Phil leaning against a palm tree not 20 feet away, it seemed.
There he is.
And just as if he'd heard her, he looked up at us and grinned. He lifted his hand and beckoned. Again, I had that curious feeling that he was real. He was three-dimensional there in the picture. And she opened the door and went out. But she came right back in.
Why, there's nobody there.
I could have told her I knew it.
There's nobody out there.
There he was on the table, grinning at us. And he said something. I could see his lips move.
What did he say?
I didn't hear anything.
I'm going to look again.
She opened the door. And Phil's lips moved again. And I could read his lips. Anybody could read that word. Try it sometime. He said, murderer.
I'm scared. There isn't anybody there.
And the little figure in the picture smiled again. And he raised his hand and pointed straight at me, and I could see his lips move again. And I knew she had read his lips, too. He said it again. Murderer.
Stop that.
There's somebody there. I saw it. Now I know. Now I know why we can't see him out there. He's haunting you. You killed him. You killed. Murderer.
What else could I do? She knew. She'd tell. And I'd hang. So... And I can't even remember her name. There's quite a bit of space under the table in there. And it's dark, like I said. After a little while, I opened the door and looked out, very casually. Everything seemed to be normal. I saw Bobby Clark, the motor cop, go by on his bike. Harry Cowan was walking back into the store. Nobody was looking at me. I was about to start down the stairs when a sudden thought struck me. I hadn't looked at the tabletop of the picture. I closed the door and turned around. Phil was still there in the picture, still looking at me. And there, beside him under the palm tree, was the girl. Not much left of the story now. Oh, I should have gone then and confessed. It would have been easier. But, well, I knew nobody'd ever find Phil. And I didn't want anybody to find her. They locked the place up at night, but the door came open easy. I didn't bring any light. It was 3 o'clock in the morning, and the fog was hanging from the sky like a wet velvet curtain. You couldn't see a streetlight a block away. I went in. I fumbled around under the table where I'd left her. She wasn't there. I found a paper of matches finally. She wasn't there. You think you know what terror is? Well, don't let me tell you. I stood up at last, and the night was so still I could hear the foghorn from way up toward Point Doom. The fog, as I told you, was thickest. Well, I glanced at the table. There they were, the two of them. And there wasn't any fog in the picture. I couldn't mistake them. Phil and the girl. And together they raised their hands and they beckoned to me. I knew I couldn't move. But I opened the door. I went down the steps into the fog. There was just one tiny spark of hope in the back of my mind. Just one tiny spark. I knew they wouldn't be there. But they were. And they turned and started away. And I followed them through the fog. Down past the suburban station. Down the hill to the pier. Down across the boardwalk. Down across the clinging, sticky, wet sand and the fog running its fingers through my hair. And under the pier, with the wet, spongy piling making hell's own high forest around me, the smell of dead things cast up from the sea and the waves reaching for me. They went on, and I followed. And the waves beat at my knees. And the undertow crushed at my waist. And I followed. And then I felt my breath being snatched from me. There was a long flutter of seaweed across my face. And night. And the taste of salt.
Listen to Quiet Please, which is written and directed by Willis Cooper. The man who spoke to you was Ernest Chappell. And the girl was played by Cherita Bauer. As usual, the music for Quiet Please is composed and played by Gene Perazzo. And now, for a word about next week's Quiet Please, here is our writer-director, Willis Cooper.
The music of Claude Debussy was the inspiration for next week's story, which, borrowing the composer's title, I have called La Fille aux Cheveux de Lin, the girl with the flaxen hair. If you like charming ghosts, you'll probably like her.
And so, until next week at the same time, I am quietly yours, Ernest Chappell. Quiet Please comes to you from New York. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
No, stay where you are. Do not break the stillness of this moment. For this is a time of mystery. A time when imagination is free and moves forward swiftly, silently. This is the haunting hour. Bird of Death. This is the story of a man named Spear, of a bird, a kind of carrion crow, and of a student of birds named Victor. This is also a story of Victor's uncle, Oren, but that comes later. At this moment, we are concerned only with the trio, Spear, Victor, and the bird of death, the crow.
Watch this, Victor. I'm going to get him. I wouldn't if I were you, Spear. Got him. No, you just wounded him. He's getting away. Why did you object to my shooting that bird? It's a member of the Corvus Coroni family, a kind of carrion crow. So what? Well, there's an old Indian tradition about those particular birds. A tradition, eh? Well, what is it? Not that I'm interested in those old superstitions. I would be if I were you, Spear. Why? Because, according to legend, it is the bird of death.
This is also the story of Victor's uncle, Oren, a man with a different kind of interest in birds, an interest that often took him and Spear to a certain marsh.
Are those all the decoys we brought with us, Spear?
Yes, sir.
Then roll over to the blind. Never can tell when a flight of ducks will come along.
Yes, sir.
There's that old fishing weir. It's a pity it isn't used anymore. I hate to see anything wasted.
Yes, sir.
Just a lot of stakes driven into the marsh. A fish trap. They bait it, the fish get in, and they're caught. Looks like an arrow from above.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad we put the decoys around it. It's a natural place for them. Makes the setting perfect. No duck will be suspicious of it.
Yes, sir.
You stop that infernal yes, sir. Can't you say anything besides yes, sir?
Yes. Of course, Mr. Arne. Anything you wish.
You know, you're too agreeable today, Spear. Too agreeable. There's a streak of cussedness in you. It's usually right beneath the surface, but you're covering it up today. You're covering it up real well. What's up?
Why, nothing. Nothing at all, Mr. Arne. I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't they? Well, most people don't know what the other fellow's talking about. That's what's wrong with the world. More people would. Hurry up, Spear. You're rowing as if we had all day.
Yes, sir.
Can't get over what a perfect setting that old fishing weir makes for our decoys. Why, the ducks have come right into the nozzles of our shotguns without suspecting there are any hunters around.
It's a good setup, all right.
Good. It's perfect. You know, that's what counts in the world, Spear. The setting. Give a man the right setting and he can get away with murder. Why, there's been many, Hey, Spear, you're not rowing toward the blind.
No, I'm not, Mr. Arne.
You're rowing toward the fishing weir. What's the big idea?
It's the right setting, Mr. Arne. Give a man the right setting and he can get away with murder. You said so yourself.
Murder? What? What are you talking about? Whose murder?
Yours, Mr. Arne.
Stop rowing. Now, Spear, I don't like this.
That's understandable. Most of us are cowards. We flinch from death. Even wealthy men like you, Mr. Arne.
Oh, stop joking.
Does this shotgun look as if I'm joking? You'll notice it's pointed right at your chest, and the shotgun at close range is a pretty messy weapon, I've read.
Why, you
needn't bother looking for your shotgun. It's behind me. You haven't a chance in the world of getting it. In fact, you haven't a chance, period.
Spear, you're crazy. You can't get away with this. I'll call for help.
In the first place, you won't call. The instant you even try to yell, I'll pull the trigger. In the second place, who'd hear you out here in the marsh?
Why, I don't... Victor. Yes, that's it. Victor might hear me. He often comes out here to study bird life. Or maybe one of the servants may be around here.
None of the servants will be around here today. You know Jed's too lazy to do anything he doesn't have to, and Kathy's rheumatism will keep her indoors on a day like this.
But Victor...
He won't be here today either. No, Mr. Arne, you'd better not count on help from your dear nephew. I've taken care of him.
You killed Victor?
Now, why would I do that? I only want to kill one man, and that's you, Mr. Arne. No, I saw to it that Victor received a new book on ornithology this morning. He's in his study reading about the habits of birds.
The habits of birds. Birds that, according to scientists, were once reptiles. But according to science, man was also once a reptile. So the lives of the two, birds and men, may at times be interwoven. In his study, Victor muses.
Birds are strange creatures. Jed, do you know that the Ardea Herodias...
The what?
The Ardea Herodias, the great blue heron.
You mean like them that live round the marsh?
Precisely. Well, the Ardea Herodias has one claw that's toothed.
You don't say.
I don't, but this book does. It says the middle toe is toothed.
What's the bird want teeth in his middle toe for?
I suppose to make it easier to hold on to the fish it catches. You've seen them catch fish, haven't you?
Yeah, especially around the old fish trap in the marsh. I don't reckon I ever saw one of them lose a fish once he grabbed a hold of it.
Precisely.
Oh, say, I reckon there ain't much them book writers don't know. Wonder how they learn it.
By observation, Jed. Oh, I tell you, this is a fine book. I just got it this morning. I don't know who sent it, but whoever did certainly knew what he was doing. It's a remarkable book. You ought to read it.
Yeah, I ain't no hand at book reading.
To think that a man like you or me, could learn so much about ornithology.
About what, Mr. Victor?
Ornithology, that's the scientific name for the study of bird life.
Oh.
And he learned it the right way, by watching birds in their native habitats.
Yeah? The what?
Where they live.
What do you want to do that for?
Because it's so interesting. It's fascinating. I think I'll go down to the marsh to watch the Ardea Herodias myself. Yes, that's what I'll do this very instant. I'm going to the marsh.
Oren went to the marsh to kill birds. Spear went to kill Oren. Victor is going to the marsh to observe birds. Birds and men, they're all interwoven as the threads of life and of death.
But why do you want to kill me, Spear? You've been my secretary almost 10 years. I've paid you well, haven't I? I've been good to you, haven't I?
But not as good as I'm going to be to myself.
Why, I even made a provision in my will for you.
But not as big as the provision I've made in it.
As you've made? What are you talking about?
I've destroyed your will and substituted one to fit my own ambitions. I'm going to inherit quite a piece of your estate.
So you won't get away with it? You'll be found out.
Do you think so? How many years have I been signing your name to letters?
About 8.
Has anyone ever detected that it isn't your signature?
Fine. No, that is...
Exactly. No one will ever suspect the will is a forgery. Simple, isn't it?
But it is never simple, Spear.
You're quite philosophic for a man who's about to die. But you overlook the fact that I've planned this carefully for 5 years. I know every detail of what I'm going to do. There isn't a chance of a slip-up.
The perfect crime, eh?
Yes, I suppose you can call it that. Everything will go just as I planned it, Mr. Oren. With your money, I'll be on Easy Street the rest of my life.
I'm not dead yet.
I'll take care of that in a moment, sir.
There are easier ways of making money, Spear.
I like this way better. Incidentally, that's where you're going to be buried, Mr. Oren. Over there at the fishing weir. Take a good look at it. Not every man gets a chance to see his future grave.
No, not every man gets a chance to see his future grave. But every man has his own hopes of averting, or at least delaying, death. Other people may inadvertently help him. For instance, right now at Oren's house, Kathy, the housekeeper, is saying...
Jed, where's Mr. Victor?
In his study, I reckon.
You reckon. Never seen such a man for not knowing nothing.
Well, ain't he in his study?
No, he ain't. But I'd be asking if he was there.
No, I don't reckon you would.
Oh, there you go, reckoning again. Can't you give a body a straight answer?
What do you always want to be picking on me for, Kathy? I ain't no nursemaid to know where everybody's at all the time.
Now, Jed, you keep a civil tongue in your head. Master Goshen, you think a body said something outlandish to you.
All you asked was if I knowed where Mr. Victor is. And I said, say, I just remembered. He said he was going out to the marsh to see...
Just what I thought. He's going out to see if he can get a look at some of them wild birds he's so crazy about. Oh, I might have known that man will be the death of me yet.
Well, what you carrying on like that for? Can a man go for a walk to the marsh without you raising a ruckus?
Not without his mackinaw on a raw day like this, he can't. That poor boy will catch his death of cold. Goshen, I don't know what folks would do if I didn't look after him. Now, you get Mr. Victor's mackinaw and take it to him right this minute.
Oh, Kathy, if he didn't take it himself, maybe it's 'cause he don't want it.
Jed, you do like I say. You take Mr. Victor's mackinaw to him right this minute. If he had my rheumatism, he'd know better than leaving it behind.
But how am I going to know where he's at?
You just said yourself he was going to the marsh. Well, you go there, too. Keep looking till you find him.
Oh, all right. Don't get head up about it. I reckon all I do around here is go traipsing around following.
Have you had a good look at your future grave, Mr. Oren? You're going to be in it soon. I'm going to kill you with your own shotgun. It'll be the culmination of 5 years of careful planning.
Oh, you ungrateful wretch.
You ought to keep quiet and listen to me. And don't make any suspicious moves. I've got an itchy trigger finger, and I don't want anything to happen to you until I'm absolutely ready.
Spear, I'm telling you again.
You're telling me again that I can't get away with it. Well, you're wrong, Mr. Oren. You're not dealing with stocks and bonds now. You're dealing with human life. Your life.
All right, Spear. You win. I'll make a deal with you.
What kind of a deal?
I'll pay you as much money as you want. If only you won't kill me. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'll make you rich.
You'll double-cross me, that's what you'll do.
No, honestly.
Honestly, that's a laugh. What an awful sap you must think I am. Well, you turn me over to the police so fast it would make my head swim. But it's your head that's going to swim underwater.
No, Spear, please.
I'm going to shoot you, then I'm going to tie you to the bottom of one of the stakes of the fishing weir. You'll be fastened so securely you'll be there forever. No one will ever find you there.
Spear, listen to me. I'll do anything you say, anything. Only don't kill me.
You're stalling for time, Mr. Oren, but it won't do you any good.
Listen to me.
You know nothing you say will keep me from carrying out my plans.
I'll sign my property over to you. I'll make it legal. You'll be rich. I'll think it over.
I have thought it over. For 5 years. That's a long time, Mr. Oren. Everything is just as I planned it, including your begging for mercy.
I promise I'll never tell anybody about this. If only...
Of course you'll never tell anybody about this. You know the old saying, dead men tell no tales.
Spear, I don't want to die.
No one wants to die. And no one wants to lie at the bottom of a marsh tied to a fish trap. It isn't much of a monument, especially for a rich man like you, Mr. Oren. But it's going to be yours for eternity.
Please.
Your proposition, if I let you live.
I'll do anything you want, Spear. Anything you want. I'll give you everything I've got. Oh, you'll never regret it. Believe me, you won't.
You're right. I'll never regret it. And by it, I mean this.
This is the story of Spear and a gun which he fired twice. The first time at a crow which he did not kill but merely crippled. The second time at his employer, Mr. Oren, whom he murdered on the spot. This is the story of Victor, Mr. Oren's nephew, a student of bird life who worries about the crippled crow and who questions Spear about the disappearance of his uncle. He does not know that Spear has fastened Mr. Oren's dead body to the bottom of an old fishing weir in the marsh.
You were right, Victor. That crow was the bird of death. Of course, I don't believe in Indian superstitions, but if I hadn't shot that bird, maybe Mr. Oren wouldn't be dead now.
Don't blame yourself, Spear. But what I can't understand is why we haven't been able to recover the body. That crew of men has been searching around the center of the marsh with grappling hooks all day now.
Maybe the body is caught on a shrub or something at the bottom.
This could be. If that's the case, I'll ask them to use dynamite.
Dynamite? I hadn't thought of that.
Are you sure you pointed out the exact spot where the accident happened?
I'm positive.
Then there's nothing to do but use dynamite. That'll dislodge anything in the immediate vicinity. Been using dynamite and still no sign of Uncle's body.
I'm just as sorry about that as you are, but as I said before, it's probably wedged between some shrubs or rocks down at the bottom. These old marshes are full of them, you know.
Yes.
I know how you must feel, Victor, but please bear in mind it isn't easy for me either.
I can understand that, your having been with him when it happened.
I'll never forget it. It was terrible. Last night I dreamed about it. I felt the water closing over me as I surface dived the last time trying to find him. My hands searched in vain. I could feel the water suffocating me, and then I awoke drenched in cold sweat. Oh, if only I could have saved him.
Don't blame yourself, Spear. You did everything you could. It's too bad Jed and I didn't get here about 5 minutes sooner. Then we could have helped.
Yes, it's too bad.
I can't get over an experienced hunter like Uncle capsizing the boat.
Well, as I told you before, he was so anxious to get the duck he'd shot, he leaned way over the gunwale as he reached for it. He leaned too far. The boat turned over, plunging us both into the water.
Yes, you told us about that.
I tried to get him to stay in the blind while I rowed out and retrieved the bird, but no, nothing would do but for him to get into the boat with me. I asked him not to.
Why?
Why what?
Why did you ask him not to get into the boat with you?
Oh, well, I don't really know, only...
Only you had a premonition. Is that it, Spear?
Well, no, that is not exactly... only there was no necessity for both of us going after the duck. I could have gotten it myself. I always have in the past when we went hunting together.
But this time, things worked out differently, eh, Spear?
Yes, this time things worked out differently.
Maybe things like that are planned.
What do you mean?
Oh, fate, destiny, you know, that sort of thing.
I believe everything happens according to plan. Everything.
Who will gainsay that everything does happen according to plan? But whose plan? And what is the plan? Is there no such thing as circumstance? And what part does it play in the plans a man may make?
And they haven't found the body yet?
Nary a sign of it, Kathy. Nary a sign.
Oh, poor Mr. Oren, not getting a decent burial. It ain't right, him being down the bottom of the marsh like that. I tell you, Jed, it ain't right.
No, reckon ain't nobody going to argue with you about that. But the day's dynamiting ain't done no good. Ain't much more that can be done.
You mean they'll leave him down there?
I reckon so. What else can they do?
Well, I don't rightly know, but seems like they oughtn't to give up till they find poor Mr. Oren's body.
Maybe they ain't never going to find it.
Why?
Maybe it just wasn't meant to be found.
Oh, Jed, you don't make no sense.
No, lots of things don't make no sense if you ask me.
Things like what?
Well, I don't rightly know how to put it, but some things just don't add up.
Oh, land of Goshen, Jed, you're going to drive me plumb crazy with that kind of talk. What things don't add up?
Well, it's like this, Kathy. You recollect you sent me out to the marsh to find Mr. Victor and give him his Mackinaw?
Of course I recollect.
Well, I done like you told me to. I found him moseying along toward the marsh, reading one of them books that he got the very day of Mr. Oren's accident.
I know all about that.
Yeah, but here's what you don't know. He asked me to go to the marsh with him. He wanted to show me something about about blue heron. And so I went with him.
I know all about that, too. What of it?
Hold your horses, will you? I'm coming to that. We heard a shot from the marsh, along about the fishing weir, I'd say. And a few minutes later, when we got there was Mr. Spear, dripping water and climbing out of the marsh with his story about how Mr. Oren was drowned.
Well, what don't add up with that? It's exactly what Mr. Spear's been telling about the accident.
Yeah, but according to his story, Mr. Oren, he shot a duck from where they was hiding in the blind. The duck fell in the middle of the marsh, and he and Mr. Spear, they got in the boat and rowed out to get the dead bird.
That's right.
Mr. Oren leans out to pick the duck out of the water, and the boat turns over, drowning him, even though Mr. Spear, according to his story, done everything he could to save Mr. Oren. Now, appears to me that was a mighty short time for all that to happen. Seems like all them doings ought to take more than the 4 or 5 minutes it took me and Mr. Victor to get to the marsh and see Mr. Spear climbing out of it.
Oh, land of Goshen, Jed, that kind of talk would drive a body clean out of their mind. Maybe it took you and Mr. Victor more than 4 or 5 minutes to get to the edge of the marsh.
No, it didn't.
And even if it didn't, that don't mean nothing. Things just naturally happen fast sometimes.
Yeah, maybe. But still, it just don't set right with me. I reckon it ought to take more time than that for all them things to happen.
So they stopped dynamite now.
Yeah, Kathy, Mr. Victor finally give it up. Said there wasn't no use keeping it up forever.
Oh, that means poor Mr. Oren will be down there at the bottom of the marsh till doomsday.
I reckon so. I still say the whole thing don't add up just right.
Oh, now don't start that again, Jed. Body just can't stand being around you when you carry on with such crazy talk.
I just can't help feeling...
Oh, land of Goshen. You make even my rheumatism worse for that kind of talk.
All right, then I'll keep quiet about it. But I still say...
There you go again.
All right. Don't get yourself het up.
You and your crazy talk. You haven't told Mr. Victor any of it, have you?
No.
Well, don't. He's got enough on his mind right now as is.
I won't say nary word about it to him.
Promise?
Yes, I promise.
That's better. By the way, where is Mr. Victor now?
I reckon he and Mr. Spears over at the lawyer's for the reading of the will.
Looks like they could have waited a spell before they went into that.
Mr. Spears said they might as well get over with.
Guess he's right. I get all fussed up inside thinking of poor Mr. Oren resting down the butter. Jed, where you going?
I think I'll just mosey on over to the marsh for a spell. I just can't get it through my head why the whole thing don't add up.
Believe me, Victor, the contents of the will are as much of a surprise to me as they must be to you. I thought Mr. Oren would remember me, but I didn't dream he would leave me the bulk of his estate. Neither did I. I'm sorry if it upset your plans in any way. My plans? Looks as though Uncle didn't think much of them. Then he knew about them? He knew I wanted to devote my life to ornithology. He gave me the impression he approved of it. He must have changed his mind. Evidently. But it doesn't change mine. I'm going to be an ornithologist. I played around with it before as a hobby, but I'm in dead earnest now. I'm going to start right away. In fact, right now. Now? Yes. Spear, I'm going to begin with the birds I've observed closely the last few days. But, Victor, you were at the marsh the last few days. Precisely. And there were birds there, birds I want to see again. Spear, drive as close to the marsh as you can, and we'll walk the rest of the way. If you don't mind my saying so, it sounds rather silly to me. Do you mind doing what I ask? No, I don't mind. Why should I? I don't know. But then there are other things I don't know. Things I intend to find out about. Do you have a gun? A what? A gun. What's the matter? Don't you understand English? Look, Victor, I can understand your being upset about the will. Well, have you got a gun or haven't you? There's a double-barrel shotgun on the back of the car. That's perfect for what I want. Now, row out to the middle of the marsh, where the accident happened. Very well, if that's what you want, but it seems rather... That's what I want. Okay. Well, here we are. Now, what's this got to do with birds? Plenty. See that buzzard of a crow sitting there on the fishing weir? The bird you crippled? Well, watch me take a shot at him. You missed him. I intended to. Killing isn't in my line. What does that crack mean? You'll know soon enough. I don't understand you, Victor. First you try to keep me from shooting that bird. Then you take a crack at him and miss him on purpose. You must be losing your mind. On the contrary, my mind is just beginning to function. Now, Spear, I want you to row over to the fish trap. Huh? You heard me. I said row over to the fishing weir. Now, look, Victor, I've had all of this I want. You can't order me around. I'll remind you that this is a double-barrel shotgun. Only one shell has been fired, so the other barrel is still loaded, and it's pointed right at you. Do I make myself understood? Yes. All right, then. Row. Edge the boat over a little, Spear. Right against the stake that crow is sitting on.
Why, it's back.
Yes, it's back. Back on the same stake it's been sitting on for 3 days now. It just sits there and stares hungrily straight down into the water.
Well, what of it?
That bird is a scavenger spear. It isn't here to catch fish like the other birds. It's only interested in carrion.
All right, so it's interested in carrion. What's that to me?
You're interested in carrion too, Spear, but in a different way.
You're crazy. You don't know what you're saying.
Prove it. Let's investigate that stake, the one the bird was perched on.
No, let's go back to the house.
You're afraid because my uncle's corpse is at the other end of it, Spear.
No, of course not. It's because... Why you give me that? No, I've got the gun. All right, your uncle's down there at the bottom of the fish trap. I killed him just as I'm going to kill you right...
I got him just in time, Mr. Victor. I heard what he said. I was there in the duck blind. I'm sure glad I had my rifle with me.
I told him that Corvus Coroni was the bird of death.
This is the story of a man named Spear, of a bird, a kind of carrion crow, of a student of bird life named Victor, and of his uncle, Oren. A story of birds and men interwoven as the threads of life and death. From shadows and stillness, mystery weaves a spell of strangest fascination, charging the mind with doubts and fears. For mystery is a strange companion, a living memory in the haunting hour.